Welcome, everyone. We'll just give it a moment to let everyone filter in.
Tim, is this where you do the sing along?
I was waiting for you.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna follow your lead. Life is like a dance. I'll follow.
There's Jeff.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Let's roll.
I have one question before we start.
Yep.
Will you be putting like 1 minute left, like in the chat or anything like that, or is it just free?
Yeah, I think that as we kick this off, if I don't know if there's a way that I can pin myself. Let me see. I will. Yeah, I will pin myself, so I should be visible when you screen share, and then I'll do I'll count down when you have 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then time.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff here. Hey, my Mac has decided that it wanted to update itself. It says it's only about 5 minutes left, but it just decided it was time to update itself. So I'm going to be logging in a few minutes the other way.
Okay,
So,
we're gonna kick everything. We'll kick everything off, and then
Okay.
we got about five or so minutes before the first pitch kicks off. So we should be in good shape.
Perfect. Interesting how that always happens.
That's right.
Hey, Tim,
Hey,
are you ready?
let's do it.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight for our championship pitch event. Thank you to our host location, the City of Newport News, as well as the cities of Hampton, Poquoson, and Greater Williamsburg, which consists of the City of Williamsburg, James City County, and York County. Hey, Tim, how did we get to this point?
Well, thank you for asking, Gary. The way that we got here, for everyone in the audience, thank you for joining us, is that we had 4 micro pitch competitions leading up to tonight. We had one in March, we had one in April, another in September, and then our final micro pitch was in October. Each of those events, we had 10 founders that pitched, and the top 3 of each of those micro pitch events are what is represented tonight. So what we are watching is the region's top founders of 2021. So congratulations to you all. Gary, before we get started, let's go over some rules of the house.
Okay, thanks, Tim. And without rules, there would be no party. Is that right? So number 1, please refrain from using the group chat feature to make comments to everyone, especially while someone's pitching their business, because it's distracting to the pitcher and to the rest of the audience. If you want to use the chat feature to connect with a specific person, please go direct with that person you want to connect with. Please don't do that while they are pitching. Just let them focus for their 7 minutes in the sun, and don't text them until after that or before that. And thanks in advance for honoring that request. And then we're really eager to get going tonight. And as Tim mentioned, we have 12 pitchers. The way this is going to work is that each pitcher will have 5 minutes to pitch their business. And then that'll be followed by a Q&A session with the judges. So the way the Q&A works is that each of the 5 judges will ask a question, one after the other. And then the pitcher will have 2 minutes to answer all the questions that are asked. So those of you who are pitching, be sure to have a way to take notes as the judges ask their questions. And remember not to start answering questions until the 5th judge has given his or her question. And also for judges, I'm going to do what I did on all the micro pitches. You will not start, the same person won't start each time. Each judge will just rotate through. So just be aware of that. And then Tim, we have judges. Who are they tonight?
Yeah, we have 5 judges tonight. The stakes are a little bit higher. Micro pitches, we had 3. Tonight, we're going to have 5. So I will introduce the judges to you all. And first up, we have Evans McMillian from 757 Accelerate. Really important to us to ensure that as you all validate your business, that the next step is to apply for places like Startup Studios or 757 Accelerate. So this is a great way for you all to get on Evans's radar. And with that, thank you very much, Evans, for your just continuing to give back to the community. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Next up, we have Rachel Frazier, and Rachel is a returning judge. She is the Associate Director of the Alan B. Miller Entrepreneurship Center at William & Mary. So welcome back, Rachel. Also, as a returning judge, we have Jeff Johnson, and he is the Director of the Tech Center Research Park in Newport News with Virginia Tech. And another returning judge that we have is Marty Kazabowski. And he is the Executive Director for Innovation Initiatives at the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Old Dominion University. So really important that we had some returning judges so that they can measure the progress that you all had. So make sure that no one's sitting on their laurels. We want to make sure that you're moving forward. So thank you, Marty. And finally, to round out the judges, we have Steve Du Bois. Steve is the owner and manager of Patent Portfolio Builders, just amazing supporters of the entrepreneurial community. Many of you have already may have heard of Steve, talked to Steve. Yeah, he is a believer in the give before you get mentality, and we're so fortunate to have you with us, Steve. So thank you. The way that we're going to work is the first 6 pitchers are going to pitch tonight. Then we're going to take a 10-minute break. You let everybody regroup. And then once we return, the final 6 pitchers will then pitch. The judges will then go into their deliberation room. And during that time, we're honored to have Craig Zingerlein as our keynote speaker for the evening. And Craig is a 6-time founder and the co-founder of Growth University, which is also part of the prize package tonight. And that is courtesy of Steve and Patent Portfolio Builders. But Craig, as the co-founder of Growth University, one may ask who is the other co-founder, and that is no other than Jason Calacanis, who was with us 3 years ago when we were at Newport News. And Jason, for those that don't know who he is, he's an 8-time unicorn angel investor with companies like Uber, Robinhood, and Calm, to name a few. So please stick around and listen to Craig's talk. Yeah, he's super excited and really happy to be with us tonight. And then once Craig is done, we'll go ahead and we're going to announce which businesses take home the big prize packages that are being offered. So as we get ready to kick things off, reminder to the pitchers, know that everybody is nervous. Friendly reminder, when it's your turn to pitch, you're going to want to unmute yourself. Share your screen if you have slides, which I believe you all do. Then once your pitch is done, stop sharing your screen. The judges are going to ask all their questions in succession. And then after the last question is asked, then you will address each question. And then when you're done, mute your mic, and then we'll move on to the next one. So, Gary, back over to you.
That means it's time to get started. So pitcher number 1, please welcome from Spellcross, Taylor Robertson.
And I will start the timer when you start talking.
Everybody hear me?
You're good.
Perfect. Hello, wannabe witches and wizards. I'm Taylor Robertson, founder of Spellcross, an under development augmented reality dueling mobile game, and a junior at the College of William & Mary. The giant of all things fantasy, Harry Potter's got a massive fandom with over 500 million books and the 3rd highest grossing movie series. Yet the fandom's abandoned J.K. Rowling, and there's been a massive decline in sales in the past 2 years, as many refuse to support her. Yet these spellcasters at heart still want some magic. After the explosive success of Pokemon Go, with augmented reality catching of creatures superimposed upon camera imaging of the real world, and Wizards Unite from the same developer, which allowed for the catching of creatures that the Harry Potter fan base wasn't as familiar with, we realized there's a space in the market for a fantasy app that uses augmented reality that allows players to actually interact with each other, cast spells, and duel each other, not random creatures. The augmented reality market is exploding. After the behemoth Pokemon Go in 2016, there's only room to grow. The size of the market is supposed to quadruple in the next 5 years. You'll notice my virtual background. Your camera can easily identify faces and what is you and what is not. The technology now exists for an app I've wanted since childhood, a dueling app for us stay-at-home sorcerers, one that will finally let our spells cross. The idea for Spellcross is simple. You and your partner face each other about 10 feet away. Your back-facing camera is enabled, allowing the camera to see both your opponent and the environment. Once it recognizes the person in relation to the environment, then begins a game of spell casting that relies on your knowledge of spells, physical motions, and incantations, dragging your fingers along the screen in arrangements that are specific to fire spells, ice spells, wind spells, or even summoning a hurtful hairstyle to attack your opponent, all superimposed and shown with augmented reality. As demonstrated in the video, a specific rune correlates to a specific spell effect. In Xcode, by creating custom gestures, which is the language that Spellcross is developing in, these custom gestures are programmed to be recognized when the user traces them and how accurately and quickly the user traces them. By stringing runes together, a player can craft more complex, specific, and powerful spells, like this, the Greater Arcing Fire spell, which is triggered by a fire rune, an arcing rune, and an enlarging rune. In the game, you'll get the ability to cast reaction spells or dodge. And if you have time for a reaction, you could cast the Ward Against Fire spell, protecting you from some of your opponent's damage. When in doubt, dodge out, which a user can do by tilting their phone to the left or right. Train to cast faster, drawing the rune as fast as possible, making your opponent's attempts to dodge less effective. The faster you are, the more time you'll have to cast a reaction spell in your next turn. The more accurate you are, the more damage done. This is where I'm currently developing custom gestures. One of the most unique parts of the app is that spellcasting is not as easy as just clicking a button or drawing a card from a deck. You have to remember these basic spell shapes, and they correlate to specific spells. The spells are editable, growable, and how quickly and accurately you cast them is part of the game, which is where the game leans into esports. There's currently nothing like it that allows for augmented reality dueling between friends. The app would rely on a freemium model to boost Witch and Wizard's abilities through different items, special wands with in-game benefits, or things that are purely aesthetic, like pets. And we could see future expansion into physical merchandise with wands that are Bluetooth enabled for another way to cast for dedicated witches and wizards. The current competitors in the market are either underdeveloped with no augmented reality technology, or in the case of Hearthstone, rely on a card-based casting strategy. Wizard Unite uses gesture casting, but it is only for the purpose of casting creatures. There's no dueling capability. Our gesture casting, augmented reality, turn-based design is what makes us unique, plus our opportunities for expansion. Many reviews of our competitors agree with us, and although we're not yet playable for the market, for market validation, our target audience sees the space for us in the market. The technologies we're utilizing, like face recognition, multi-user AR experience, and virtual background creation, are well developed and easily able to be incorporated into the app. Gesture recognition we have to develop ourselves, and 3D assets, like the applications of fire on someone's face or a spell effect, have to be either purchased, found open source, or developed. We believe that the combination of those together is what makes us unique, as it hasn't currently been done before. The challenges we're facing, though, is that I lack access to a MacBook Air, which you need to code in Xcode. It has to be very recent because augmented reality technology requires the most updated software. So I've been going to the school's library to code, which isn't quite effective for long periods of work. As an individual founder with more business programming with more business knowledge than programming knowledge, I believe that expanding my team would be a great way to go about developing the app.
And that's time.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Taylor. You want to unshare your screen for us?
Yes.
And then we'll jump into judge questions. Evans, we're going to start with you. Taylor, you got something to write down questions with?
Yes, sir.
And just a reminder to not answer until you've heard all 5 of the questions. Okay, Evans,
Sounds good.
Wow, that's hard to answer. You got to remember the questions. If you can't remember mine, Taylor, I'll tell it to you again. I'm concerned. I'm not concerned, but I'm curious how you make money and how you're going to make more of it. Like how you do this at scale. How do you get people on the platform and how do you make money?
Next, Rachel.
Thank you, Taylor. My question is, what's your strategy to make this go viral?
Okay, Jeff.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. My question really was around getting, keeping, and growing your customers.
Marty, next.
I'm curious about, is there any intellectual property associated with this that can be a protectable asset over the course of the business?
And finally, Steve.
Are you considering partnering, or have you explored partnering with larger companies, or looked into what they're doing in the in this area to see if your gesture recognition might fit in as a component to a larger scale sort of operation, like an Oculus, or however they're going to do what they're going to do in this field?
Okay, so Taylor, Tim's going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and then when you start talking, he will start timing.
All right, perfect. I'm ready to go. So some of these kind of tie in together. So in terms of how it will go viral, how to acquire customers, I believe that showing virtually what happens, the virtual reality element of it, on TikTok. So showing people actually going underneath these spell effects, when they're funny or when they're entertaining, it's going to be massively shareable. And also the fact that this is augmented reality. We're expecting people to be 10 feet away in public. That means we're expecting people to be doing this in school, on school grounds, at colleges, where people are going to be seeing a public spectacle, which I think is what is going to be making it go viral. If even a small amount of people are doing it, like what are these people doing in public, tracing, possibly shouting at each other spell names. In terms of IP or protectable and the gesture recognitions, I actually believe the gesture recognitions are the part which would most likely be able to be sold, not individually, but as a package, with further games being developed later on in augmented reality or virtual reality, Oculus, Vive, whatever. If we have a customer base that has learned these specific spell to rune or spell to shape correlation, someone else is going to want to buy that from us when they're going to be building a magic casting game of any variety. It doesn't have to be dueling. But if we have a customer base that already connects a large amount of these shapes to specific spell effects, when we go into later virtual reality, I think that's going to be an asset that we'll be able to leverage beyond just our own game. How to make money at scale. I think it is getting to scale, but even until then, as soon as you want to look better than your opponent in that augmented reality, or you want to have faster, more efficient casting spells by buying items at the freemium level, which is a really effective level in mobile games, we're going to be able to create revenue. That freemium model of just tempting someone not to get into the game, but to further themselves in the game, kind of not fully pay to play, but pay to be better, is the model that we would be working under, which works from a small user base up to a large user base. Yeah, in terms of IP issues, I don't believe there'd be any issues. We're not trying to copy Harry Potter. We are trying to develop our own in-house spells.
Okay,
And that is time.
we're out of time. Great, thanks. Thanks, Taylor. I'm going to announce to everybody, Taylor was one of the winners of micropitch number 2, and I'm going to announce for the rest of these which micropitch event they came from. They were one of the winners for. So our judges, have you done your thing in your spreadsheet? You all set to go? All right. Our next pitcher is going to be Aaron Bonilla with Bonilla Pet Studio.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm sharing my screen.
And Aaron was one of the winners from pitch number 3.
Thanks. Okay.
The floor is yours, Aaron.
Okay. I have the best friend. She's smart, beautiful, funny, but every time I walk through the door, she always jumps on me and licks me all over my face.
Her best friend is a 5-year-old poodle named Chloe. If you have ever had the honor of loving a best friend like Chloe, you are a customer in a $9 billion pet services industry.
Part of the 68% of all US households who own a pet and treat them like family because, well, pets are family.
On any pet parent's phone, you will find one or two hundreds of pictures of the fur babies.
That's what we do with what we love, isn't it?
What an amazing opportunity to combine this thriving pet industry in market with the $4 billion photography industry.
Hi, I'm Erin Bonilla, CEO and founder of Bonilla Pet Studio.
And I'm Oswaldo Bonilla, COO of Bonilla Pet Studio, a portrait studio that caters specifically for families with pets. Erin, as a CEO, is an award-winning and internationally published certified professional photographer. Not to mention, she's also a licensed private pilot. Her grit, resilience, and entrepreneurial spirit, coupled with her passion to capture love between fur babies and their parents, have made what is the studio today.
Our COO, Oz, brings balance. He is a recently retired Air Force officer and has over 20 years experience. He is very measured in his operations, leadership, and management skills. He is my secret weapon.
Our team of pet lovers maximize productivity and makes Bonilla Pet Studio a success. From animal handlers to photographers to retouchers, the whole pack creates a customer-centered culture.
Our experience-based business model looks like this. First, we schedule.
We then collect leads using a loss leader, and we wow them into amazing clients. We have found that our clients want options, so we provide a wide range of appointment availability.
Then the shoot, the most fun part. Our clients are greeted by name, and we take great measures to ensure that even the pets are social distancing while in the studio. Our studio is the essence of pet friendly because, well, poop happens, and we want our clients to still have a good time, even when it does.
The portrait design service, we surprise and delight the clients in our client theater by presenting them with a cinematic viewing experience. We also create custom packages with frame, canvas, wall art pieces, albums, and more.
Then a few weeks later, the big reveal. They cry happy tears at the sight of their fur babies like they've never seen them before. Their fine art pieces are carefully packaged for the trip home to be enjoyed forever. Bonilla Pet Studio began in our living room in 2016. We saw growth in 2017 and 18 and somewhat leveled off in 2019 and 2020.
On January 2020, the studio was photographing 20 sessions per month. July 2020, we leveled up to 50 sessions per month, and that was a major milestone for the studio. However, demand was so high that we went immediately to 75 sessions per month in the months of April, May, and June of 2021.
Thanks to our systems and processes, we were able to grow our team and provide even more appointment availability. And due to that, in July of this year, we photographed over 130 pet portrait sessions, and that is the pace we are currently maintaining. And now we are very excited to open our second location in Williamsburg. That has twice the capacity of Norfolk. And don't forget our grand opening party, it's December 4th. And following the success in Williamsburg, we plan to open our third location in Richmond. Looking ahead, we are very excited about the amazing opportunity to offer a franchise model of Bonilla Pet Studio. Can you help Bonilla Pet Studio level up even faster? We need advisors, clients, and capital for technology, infrastructure, and personnel. Now is the time to be first and best in the pet photography industry.
Many of our 5-star reviews echo what one client shared. Quote, I knew Toby was funny, smart, and beautiful, and Bonilla Pet Studio helped us with the bond and love, and they capture that as never before.
Bonilla Pet Studio, love reimagined.
And that's time. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Erin and Oz. Judges, are you guys ready? We're going to start with Rachel, and Erin and Oz, just to remember that wait for all 5 judges to ask you their questions. Write those down or something so you can answer them. And we'll start with you, Rachel.
All right. Thank you, Erin and Oz. How many people does it take to operate one studio? And what are their roles?
Okay, next, Jeff.
Mine focused on the idea of feedback, additional feedback from customers. This is kind of pretty interesting. I think you might mention something, but I want to hear more about how many people you talk to in terms of potential customers for your offer.
Okay, Marty?
Yeah, so I've got a house full of pictures of my daughter and her cats, all professionally done. Why doesn't this already exist?
Okay, Steve, next.
Sure, thanks. What's your greatest challenge for scalability in opening these new locations? And can you break down maybe your top 2 or 3 cost of goods sold?
And finally, Evans.
Congratulations on your progress. I want to know how much it costs to open a new market, a new location, and where you're going to go next.
Okay, Aaron and Oz, when you're ready to start, Tim will give you 2 minutes and it's all yours.
I'll go when you go.
Sorry, we're ready. All right, Rachel, your question was great. So how many people it takes to operate one studio and what are their roles? It takes about 16 people total to run a well-run studio. And that's what we have right now in Norfolk. And the roles, it's a variety of roles. We have phone calling people, we have appointment setters, we have photographers, editors, we have post-production, and then we also have a manager, and there are others.
Okay, and then feedback from customers. We have a very, very high rate of extremely happy customers. It would be 98% would recommend us to their friends. Lots of excellent reviews. And then as far as how many people we talk to and how many people end up coming in, we currently have a 17% closing ratio on all leads collected, which is excellent. Why this doesn't already exist? For one thing, market trends, the trends that are going up for the pet ownership and people treating their pets like family like never before is one thing. Plus also photography is valued now more than it ever has been before with social media. Also, the experience-based business model, purchasing going towards an experience-based model. Why it doesn't already exist or establish that. Plus also we are the perfect people to do this. The scalability challenge and our biggest challenge to scale is our biggest scalability challenge, I think, is just probably capital. That is number one. I mean, if we had all the capital, we could scale. So our cost of goods is currently 55%. And that's our gross margin. So go ahead with that.
And on the last question, how much does it cost to open one studio? It really depends. It could be $150,000 for one camera or $200,000 for 2 camera studio.
And that's time.
Okay, thanks so much. Judges, will give you a second if you need to add anything into your spreadsheet. Okay, ready to move on? Our next pitcher is Tamika Brown with Kitech Windshield Protector. And Tamika was one of the finalists in micro pitch number 4. Tamika, are you ready? Are you there, Tamika? Yeah.
Thank you.
All yours.
All right. Hi, I'm here today to present to you Kitech Windshield Protector. Let's ride. You're in your vehicle and you're on your way to work, or you could be on your way to an appointment or out with your family, and you're enjoying the ride, and all of a sudden, pop, you look up and there's a crack in your windshield. But this all can be avoided with the use of Kitech Windshield Protector. It protects your windshield from shatters, chips, and cracks, saves you time, saves money, helps in protecting our environment and ecosystem, and it functions like a phone screen protector. This is an example of how the windshield protector will function. It is scratch and impact protection, and it has flexibility. It's completely transparent, and you would apply and detach to your windshield as you would apply a screen protector to your phone. And if you can protect your phone screen, why not protect one of the most important and most used instruments on your vehicle, your windshield? 13 to 14 million windshields get replaced each year. There's no easy resolution to avoid damage to windshields. We find ourselves paying out of pocket to repair or replace the windshield, some multiple times for one vehicle. Most windshields are non-recyclable, and that harms our environment because most windshields go into landfills. So Kitec windshield protector is sustainable, durable, has an easy application with do-it-yourself instruction. It's reliable, eco-friendly, and affordable. What's on the market today? It's their protectant film that takes time. It's costly. It requires professional installation. It can fade, peel, and create air pockets, and installers are only in about 5 states. Then there's the protectant liquid. It washes away when your car's washed or in rain. It takes 15 to 20 minutes to apply the solution, and you don't know how many coats you would need for a great protection on your windshield. So that can cause excessive physical labor. But there's one person that we call when there's a crack in our windshield, the insurance company. There are many factors to consider when looking at the cost of a windshield replacement or repair. We talk to them to find out the deductible doesn't cover the complete cost of a windshield, or the windshield costs less than the deductible. The typical cost of a windshield replacement is about $100 to $400, and that's not including the average cost of labor. Classic and luxury vehicles price as high as $1,500, and depending on the size of the RV, windshield can cost anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000. Either way, you're going to pay and pay and pay. So you will go online to our website, put in your vehicle type, choose your options and your customizations. All windshield protectors will have anti-reflective glare at no extra charge. Product will be manufactured, packaged, and shipped to customers and businesses. There also is a subscription. There's $89 for the premium package, and that comes with your product will be shipped with a return label. You will receive a automotive detailing box quarterly, and that comes with a care kit for your vehicle and your windshield protector. You will get a bi-weekly newsletter about the business and the company, and a personalized thank you card from the business as well. For the standard subscription, your product will also be shipped with a return label. You will receive a bi-weekly newsletter, products from the company for your windshield protector, a personalized thank you card, a chance to vote on names of new products, and a chance to participate in focus groups and surveys on new developments and innovations. The starting price for the standard vehicles is $129. The luxury, exotic, and classic cars starting price is at $149. The RV, dump truck, school buses starting price at $189. We will start at direct consumer sales, go to retail sales, and then government sales. The profile of our target customers, our direct customer age 25 to 45, income anywhere between $35,000 to $75,000. They could be nurses, school teachers, delivery drivers, real estate agents, entrepreneurs. They enjoy traveling, do-it-yourself projects, or they can also have teen drivers. Our target customer for the businesses are car dealerships, auto repair shops, auto parts stores, auto glass repair companies, car care centers, and auto glass tint shops. The relevant market size in the Hampton Roads area, potential customers are 100,000. The amount these customers might be willing to pay, $129. So overall relevant market size for the Hampton Roads area is 13 million. I'm Tamika, I'm the founder of Kitec, and I'm looking to fulfill some positions within my team with some awesome people. I personally had to replace 2 windshield within 6 months. So who's ready to help me save you money, protect your windshield, and promote the health of our global ecosystem?
That's time.
Okay, thanks, Tamika. There you go. So remember to grab a pen or whatever and take some notes for judges' questions. Don't answer until the judges finish asking their questions. And this time we're starting with Jeff.
Yeah, so the timing's perfect because I just got a crack today. And I am super PO'd.
I'm sorry, my internet froze.
Yeah, you just missed the fact that I just had I got a crack today. So I definitely love the opportunity associated with this. I'm concerned with 2 things, the installation and performance over cycles. expansion and contraction for cold and heat and this impact on this. I can't put a cover on an iPhone without bubbles. And to do something the size of this is just a concern. So I want to hear more color about that.
Yes.
Okay, Marty.
I was going to ask a similar question. I grew up in Detroit, and every morning from November until about May, I walked out and had to scrape ice off my windshield. And so I'm curious to hear what you say about to Jeff about that. But that's not my question. My question is, what would keep Safelite? I know we're all singing the jingle, right? Safelite. What would keep Safelite from doing this today?
Okay, Steve.
Sure. Just curious about whether or not you've done any discussions, had any discussions with potential customers, in particular, perhaps around the subscription model that you offered during your presentation, to see what kind of traction you might have gotten that way. Thanks.
Next, Evans.
So my question is about how your distribution channels, like how you're going to scale this and get to a lot of customers in a quick time to be able to make this, grow.
And finally, Rachel.
All right, thank you, Tamika. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Evans asked you and ask you, what partners will you need and what are they going to do?
Okay, and Tim's going to give you 2 minutes when you start answering questions. So Tamika, it's all yours.
All right. So for the installation, performance, and the lifespan of the film, it all depends on the material. I am meeting with Madico, and they're the manufacturers of Clearplex, and they are the #1 protection film company. So I'm meeting with their research and development team as well as their engineer, and we're going to go over specs for this product to make sure that the installation, the performance, and the lifespan, and that is, we will also have the customizations will be also weatherability and the lifespan of these materials. So we will all go over that during that process when I meet with the engineer and the research and development company for Madico. And for the Safelite, not sure why Safelite isn't doing that. I know they replace windshields and they also repair chips. I'm not sure on their end, but this is just my vision that I see. So not sure about that Safelite. And for the subscription and with customers, I am in the ICAP. So I am doing my customer segment where I am interviewing and reaching out to customers as far as what do they want and need and what do they see this product being. So I'm trying to cater to their needs. That's why I came up with this subscription. So just to give back. If they give, I want to be able to give something back to them. The manufacturing and the distribution will all depends on who can manufacture this product. If it's Madico, we will see when we get to that part, but I'm for sure that if they can manufacture this product, there will be the manufacturing distribution.
Is it just me or did we lose her audio?
Yeah, Tamika, we can't hear you.
You lost your audio.
You there, Tamika?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
10 more seconds.
But that's what you had before you went out. So go ahead.
Yes. So I am looking at all different samples. This is one great one that I got that's very transparent. So many materials that I have received wasn't as transparent as this. So I'm still getting that development phase of the type of product that I envision.
And that's time.
Okay, thanks, Tamika. So I'll just give you a second to finish up your worksheets. And our next pitcher is going to be Maya Holohan for E-Wedded, and she was one of the finalists in our micro pitch number 2. So Maya, are you ready?
I am ready here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let me just okay, that does work. All right. Independent bridal retail retailers and brands are drowning in excess inventory. This is something that I experienced firsthand when I owned 6 bridal shops, and at one point was sitting on close to $250,000 of dead stock. The problem is that the wholesale to retail business model is broken, compromising a company's operational efficiency, their ability to be profitable, and the practices are harming to our environment. Current solutions are just costly and unsustainable. You have retailers that are losing valuable real estate like dressing rooms, office space, even bathrooms. They're paying for storage units, and some of them are opening up sample stores. And then brands are tossing or burning their excess inventory. All of this is compounded by a changing retail landscape. You have more people shopping online. In fact, 42% of brides said that they would purchase their wedding gown online. And through our own customer discovery efforts, we found that 73% of all of their shopping is done with online retailers. So I've spent almost the entirety of my 26-year career in luxury retail and began my bridal journey with famed designer Vera Wang in New York City. Years later, I went on and built my own multi-million-dollar bridal retail enterprise right here in Hampton Roads, and was once named one of the top 50 retailers in the nation by Brides Magazine. So the solution that we have built is an e-commerce platform with a logistics and distribution system uniquely tailored to industry retailers and brands to seamlessly and responsibly move their excess and stagnant merchandise on a global scale. There are 2 ways that a seller can work with us. Similar to Etsy, if they want to manage the entire process on their own, they will go to our platform and open an e-wedded store. Or we can become their distribution partner. In this scenario, we take possession of the seller's goods on a consignment basis and handle the entire sales process for them. So the bridal and formal wear market is $600 billion with projected growth to reach over $700 billion by the year 2025. And according to Digital Commerce 360, online wedding retailers conducted over $40 billion in revenues in 2018, with the average retailer turning out about $220 million in revenue. And this is a look at our competitive landscape. Some of our key differentiators is that we are making luxury wedding products affordable and accessible for today's marrying couples. And we're streamlining the process for them by having a full suite of wedding and event products for everybody affiliated with a wedding or social occasion. We're personalizing and making the experience more tangible through our try before you buy and live shopping and our virtual try-on feature. So our go-to-market strategy is really centered around community, both in terms of involvement and generation. And we will do this by taking part in trade and consumer events. We exhibited at the National Bridal Market in Chicago in August and were met with rave reviews. And we're currently negotiating and identifying key marketing partnerships, and we'll roll out our affiliate and influencer programs in the next couple of weeks. We're also building community through our own Facebook group and our consumer rewards program. All of this is supported by a multi-layered digital marketing initiative. So our revenue model is really straightforward. We take a percentage of each transaction, and then we earn revenues on both seller and buyer subscription programs. We have close to 200 companies in our pipeline, which equates to almost $25 million in sellable merchandise. We've already been featured in the industry's #1 trade publication. And since our soft launch in February, we've increased our users, sessions, and sellers by over 300% and grown an opt-in contact list of over 3,600. And we even have a handful of transactions under our belt. So we have a diverse and highly skilled team that bring over 75 years of direct market experience to this venture. We are all entrepreneurs that have the acumen, resolve, and grit to take this company to scale. We are looking to raise a $2 million seed round that we can reach the following benchmarks within the next 18 to 24 months of $11 million in revenue, close to 30,000 transactions, and the launch of our first distribution center. And this is what a 5-year financial outlook looks like based on the $2 million raise. We're at just under 100 million revenues in year 5 and cash flows over $30 million. And with your help, we can continue to support the independent and small businesses that make up the $600 billion bridal and formal wear industry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So ready for some questions? Ready, Maya?
I am ready.
Okay. And remember, don't answer until all the questions are done. Start with Marty.
Yeah, so this is not a market I know well, although my aforementioned daughter was addicted to the TV show about falling in love with the dress, or say yes to the dress. The question I have is simply this. It seems to me that wedding dresses come literally in all shapes and sizes. How does your site help a user narrow that down quickly, simply, easily to a set of stuff that presumably she will want to look more deeply at?
Okay, and next, Steve.
Great presentation. So curious about barriers to entry for competition. Looks like a big market the way you've presented it. What's to prevent somebody else from coming in right behind you, or is there somebody there already today?
Next, Evans.
So I think, we've talked, Maya, a good bit, and great presentation. I'm curious about what causes the significant amount of overstock. It feels to me like it's because things come in at 2 and a 15. And so that's all you have on the floor. So how does that get solved? If indeed that's the problem that causes a good deal of overstocking, how does that get solved by doing it, by going through eWedded?
Okay, Rachel.
Thank you, Maya. I think you said about 3,600 plus opt-in contacts, and I think you said about 300 retailers in your pipeline. What is it going to take for you to get to that 11 million in sales?
And Jeff.
Yeah, great presentation. This is, to me, all about operations. And the great news about you is that you've been in the business. So I saw it as a positive. SKU proliferation is what I wrote down as a big question mark, and managing the SKUs. Tell us more about that. Give me more color around how you're going to do that.
Okay, Maya, so Tim's going to give you 2 minutes, and as soon as you start talking, you'll start the timer.
Okay, so we're answering the all shapes and sizes. We have a style quiz. So when somebody comes to the platform and they actually want to register as a buyer, we have a series of questions that we ask them so that we can build in algorithms to specifically target the types of products that they're looking at. And we're also looking at like a white glove service where if somebody is unsure of what style looks good on them, we can create some sort of communication with them to guide them to the right type of dress or any really product that they're looking for. There are key players in the market already. I think one of the biggest differentiators though for us is that most of our competitors are peer-to-peer and we are B2B2C. And we currently really own the market in terms of culling the retailers and the brands simply because of the years of experience that we bring to the market. And our products are not altered and they're not used. They might be gently loved samples, but if I'm a bride, I'd rather have something gently loved than already worn down the aisle and potentially altered. What causes the overstock and why are we the best solution? So, the problem really starts with product creation, and we can't really impact that right now. Maybe one day we can. It is that there is just because there are so many different styles, because weddings are so big and they're so expensive, brands just over design. I mean, they might design 100 gowns to potentially put into a collection, and 30 of those dresses will make the collection. So they have 70 gowns that they have nothing. I mean, what are they going to do with them? So they're burning them or tossing them. We can come in and help them and do live sample sales. So again, one of our differentiators is that we're going to have live action shopping, and we will take those 70 samples and sell them in one shot for the brand. So how are we going to get to 11 million in sales? So the key to that is,
and that's time.
Okay.
That's time. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Judges, you ready for the next picture? Ready. Here we go. Next picture, Eric Garrison with Cassie. And Eric was one of our finalists in micro pitch number 1.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
Yep.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Okay. My name is Eric Garrison, and I am co-founder of 2E1B Lab. And what we do at 2E1B Lab is create CASI. CASI stands for Clean Air System Smart Intelligent Environment. And what CASI is air filtration embedded with our IR technology. So I am CEO of 2E1B Lab. I specialize in customer discovery, sales, and IoT project management. And I have 3 years of entrepreneurship experience. Our marketing director, Tom Justice, has over 40 years of experience in the air filtration industry and served as past president of the National Air Filtration Association. Anton Raccoon is our co-founder, and he has written code for NASA and specializes in IoT. Last but not least, Dr. C.Y. is our scientific advisor. He is a National Science Foundation award-winning environmental engineer. So reasons for CASI: buildings have poor ventilation. Our top competitor, which is ultraviolet germicidal technology, costs between 9 to 15 grand to install. And as we know, coronavirus spreads by aerosols. So we performed over 100 customers surveys, and the things that stood out the most was that school districts spent, well, Loudoun Public Schools, which is a school district in the suburb of DC, spent $10 million to upgrade 6 buildings' HVAC systems out of 150 buildings. And facility directors like Tom Marsh suggested that he would like a system that could detect problems easier, problem areas easier. It's taking him an average of 2 weeks to find problem areas. So this is how CASI would be installed into commercial settings. We have room air cleaners, intake and outtake filtration. So it's really simple. We plan to sense bioaerosols, track the problem areas, and lastly, disinfect. So we partnered with LMS, which is an air quality technology company in Minnesota. And pretty much we did our third-party testing. To the left, you see MS2 virus, which is the flu, and to the right, you see staph bacteria. Within 8 seconds, you see everything is gone. We have a 99.9% efficiency rating, or greater than 99.9% efficiency rating. So the 3 companies to the right of ours is IVP Air, Air Shield, and Tazaya. They all disinfect. They are newer disinfecting companies, but they leave ozone. We leave no ozone or any byproduct, and we disinfect quicker, and you don't have to leave our system on all the time like UV. So the air filtration market, the global air filtration market is set at 13.75 billion, and this was in 2020, and the industry is expected to grow 10% and maybe even more if we get another variant, right? And we plan to target school districts. Virginia has 227 school districts. So our technology is not only better than competitors, we can also offer it for a cheaper price or a subscription-based model that pretty much fits school systems needs. So we plan to sell we'll give our system away for $266 on a subscription 3-year price lock, or they can purchase a whole unit for $5,500. We plan to service school districts and grocery stores and hospitals first. So our path to market would be direct sales, partnerships, and the Join Green organizations ran by the EPA and the Asthma and Allergy Association organizations. So in the upcoming weeks, we have meetings with 3 big players. This would be Samsung, Daikin, and also Mon and Humble. We have 4 pilots, 3 at universities and 1 at a manufacturing plant in Winter Park, Florida. So after our pilots, we will raise $500,000 for seed. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Let's start this time questions. Just have something to write things down with, Eric, and don't answer until all the judges ask all their questions. And we're going to start with Steve this time.
Thank you. Nice presentation. So given that you're in the IR portion of filtration and UV's been around for a while, do you think you guys are the first to really implement a commercial solution using IR for filtration? And if so, are you confident in your IP protection?
Evans?
You said you have 4 pilots, and I am interested in what validation you need from those pilots and how they get converted into paid pilots.
And Rachel?
All right, thank you, Eric. What made you land on the revenue model of either subscription with a 3-year price lock or sale the product?
Jeff?
Thanks, Eric. Good presentation. Maintenance, your ability to maintain these and the staff and the organization structure you're going to need to pull this off if you scale. Talk to me about that.
And finally, Marty.
Yeah, all the good questions have been taken. The quick one. How good is good enough? I mean, 99.9 sounds good, but is it really that much more effective and more healthy than, say, 98.2? How good is good enough?
Okay, Eric, when you start answering questions, Tim will give you 2 minutes.
Okay, so first of all, we are a University of Florida startup, and we have exclusivity for this IR patent. So we're protected. The University of Florida is backing us with that protection. So I guess that means we get to borrow their lawyers, right? So we have 4 pilots, and pretty much we're going to use these pilots pretty much as sales points. I've been in sales for 6 years, and when I have good examples of use cases, I can effectively sell something even better. So technically, we could go with our third-party validation from LMS and start selling now. But obviously, doing a pilot at a university, that is a better marketing tactic to sell. Why subscription? We feel like schools. Okay. Sorry about that. I interviewed pretty much a school district in Florida, and they were meeting with the town hall before the pandemic, fighting to get money to upgrade every HVAC system in the school district. And when that happened, when COVID happened, that pretty much put an end to that. So schools that are built in the 1900s, they simply cannot afford to upgrade every HVAC system at one time. That's why we're going with the subscription. So to do the maintenance on our systems, we will partner up with HVAC contractors. I am a general contractor myself, and I have been for the past 3 years. So I know if we have the budget and if we're partnered with Mon and Hummel or Samsung, we will be
Okay, and that's time. Eric, thank you very much. Okay, judges, you ready to move on to the next one? I'll give you just a second. James, are you ready? When the judges are ready?
I'm ready.
If you want to go ahead and share your screen, you can do that now. And then we'll have the big announcement when the judge folks are ready. Marty, you ready? Okay, Jeff?
Yep.
Evans? Steve? Rachel? Okay. Our next pitcher is James Warren with Let's Vidya. And James was one of our finalists from micro pitch number 3. And the floor is yours, James.
Thank you. I got a call from Pinterest the other day. I know you're thinking, we all get emails from Pinterest. It's called spam, but this one was different. Instead of offering to help me with my wardrobe, my meal prep, my man cave, they were actually asking me for help. Alex is on a team of 200 fully remote salespeople. As a remote worker herself, she understands the feelings of isolation and loneliness that come with remote work every day. Alex and Pinterest aren't alone. With the growing number of enterprise-level companies sticking to remote work, it's projected that 22% of the workforce in the US will be remote fully by 2025. That's 36.25 million people at risk of feeling alone and isolated from their team. Like many of us, Alex knows how frustrating it is to work hard planning a Zoom happy hour only for it to be lackluster and miserable. A quick Google search later, thanks SEO guys, Alex was knocking on our door asking for help. I asked her, what if I could guarantee to give you a virtual event your team would love and would take very little effort from you? She said, I'd be the hero and you do all the work. Sign me up. I walked with Alex through our most popular events, a PDF I'll put in the chat when I'm done. From trivia to charcuterie 101, we have it all. When all was said and done, Alex eventually decided to book 2 mixology classes for her team. This is where the fun starts. Alex was sent a private link, and all she had to do, her entire job for this process, was to send out an email blast or a calendar invite with that link. From there, people would start signing up. In the days leading up to the event, participants would start to get things that would excite them for the event to come. This includes emails with important information, a Pinterest branded bar kit mailed to their house, a box of all their ingredients and spirits, and on the day of, a reminder email that they had to come to that event tonight. Then it happens. They get all of their stuff together, and from the comfort of their own home, they join a Zoom call where they meet Jen, our most popular mixologist. She'll start with an icebreaker, get everybody laughing, engaged, and drinking a little bit. Then she'll teach them the skills and the recipes for making 2 custom-made cocktails just for their team, engaging with them and laughing the entire time. When all is said and done, Jen will take a group cocktail photo that gets sent out with a recipe card the next day. She'll offer to give Alex the room and control of the room so they keep hanging out, and she'll gracefully bow out. Like all of our clients, Alex will get a debrief within 48 hours of her event. If I was a betting man, I would guess I hear the same thing from her that I have the rest of the clients we've worked with in the last year. 1, my team had so much fun they forgot they were on Zoom. 2, this was the best company party ever. Not virtual party, best company party ever. 3, we should have done this sooner. And 4, we'll definitely do it again. In fact, 55% of our customers and 100% of our enterprise level customers have rebooked multiple times. At this point in our conversation, I'll share with Alex that while one-offs are great, like her mixology class, we recognize that relationships are not built, developed, and maintained in a one-off event. In conversations with other clients, we've decided to build out a subscription model because it is around the water cooler, after work happy hours, and in these celebrations and milestones at big events that relationships are built. Team leaders, directors, and HR executives who are serious about their teams connecting relationally realize it takes them finding time to play regularly, which is why we're going to roll this model out. At this point in the journey, Alex has done her research. On top of the incredible experience she's had with us, she knows that Let's Video is not the only company in the market, but we are the only one that's focused fully on virtual events, offers fully customizable and all-inclusive solutions across the board, provides professional planning and hosting for her event, and is ready to partner with her with a subscription model. Again, if I were a betting man, I'd bet 2 things. The first is that Pinterest signs a contract for monthly events. The second is that Alex talks with other team leaders, directors, and HR executives about her experience with Let's Video. This is why, that way, when they get our emails, LinkedIn requests, targeted ads, that we're a familiar name to them. Virtual events is projected to be a $413.9 billion industry by 2027. We recognize that from where we're at now, we're going to have to raise funds to get to where we want to be. Starting with a seed round of $200K in the next few months on a convertible note that will be used for marketing and staffing, then moving to a Series A to develop a full SaaS platform that will include a Zoom replacement designed around social interaction instead of work. I'm James Warren, and I represent this team of co-founders and 20 plus contractors who are passionate about making sure remote workers feel connected. And looking at our team, we recognize that we'll need to hire a full-time CFO and COO in the near future. We have a strategy for filling that, these positions, a list of names that we want to talk to. We also could use help networking with lead generation. And obviously we have to do both client relations and contractor host recruitment.
That's time.
Okay, thank you, James. Remember to write down the questions. All 5 judges are going to ask you a question, and don't answer until they finished asking. And we're going to start with Evans.
Great job. I have a question about your customer acquisition cost and your strategy to get more.
Okay, Rachel.
All right, thank you, James. What will prevent someone else from copying your model?
Thanks, Rachel.
And Jeff.
Okay, Rachel just stole my question.
You gotta have 2, Jeff. You gotta.
I can ask another.
Okay. The other one has to do with scaling this. How do you scale this business? Thanks,
Okay,
Rachel.
Marty. And Marty.
I swear to God, I was going to ask both those questions. Let me ask the first one sort of in a different way, though. You show your competition. Surely, Teams, Zoom, WebEx, all of these guys should also be on that chart as well. What happens when Zoom decides to throw $1 billion at this event management sort of process?
Okay, and finally, Steve.
Thanks for the presentation. Very nice. So while I was listening to that, I really wanted to hear just a really short example, a color example of what you might toss in there that creates this sort of connection between the people that maybe they can't do on their own and we can't do on our own Zoomcasts that we have. You know, I work with a lot of people. I run a couple of businesses, and some of those people are way more social than I am. And I would just have loved to hear a quick snippet of how you would flavor that to add that value that you're talking about.
Okay, James, Tim's going to give you 2 minutes. And when you start talking, the timer starts.
Yeah, so let's start with Zoom entering the market and copying the model. So Zoom's in the market. Zoom announced early into COVID that they were going to do a marketplace for you could sell your own events and things like that. And so they're there. The difference with us is that we're not, the video piece is not what's important to us. The secret sauce, if you will, is, and how people connect, is our host engaging the group as they go. So other people can enter the market for sure, Zoom being one of them, but that's not really our secret sauce. Zoom is built for business, and it's limited when it comes to social interactions. Copying the model, again, it can be copied. We're using events right now as our entry point. We feel like the SaaS platform will be the exit point of where we go, and that'll be a customized with a video platform, and then also nuts and bolts all the way up. And that will help with scalability in terms of planning, executing, scheduling. That's how we'll do that. When it comes to customer acquisition, we spent about $5,000 a month last year on marketing and other things, and we had $8,000 in business. We really bootstrapped everything. And so per customer, I don't have that number in front of me. I can get it to you. But I know with minimal marketing, we did impressive numbers on our end. So with that, I think that covers all of them. Again, the highlight being that our secret sauce is actually host and how they walk in and engage, from talking and conversations, jokes, pulling things out of people and having a good time there. They really are the life of the party and help everybody else engage. I don't know if I went over or not, Tim.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we heard you.
All right, thanks, James. Okay, everybody, we are a little bit behind schedule, but we're going to catch up here. Let's take a 5-minute break. Let's call it 6:42 right now. So at 6:47, we will start up with our next pitcher, which is going to be Care Concierge with Albert. So we'll see you back here in 5 minutes.
All
Can I
right.
make sure that the judges are filling out the form, please?
Will do, Dan.
almost was the quickest 5 minutes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Right. Let's see, we need Steve and Rachel.
Here.
Oh, Steve, we're here. Okay, we're ready to roll. Is everybody back? Yep. Okay, our next pitcher will be Albert Brooks with Care Concierge, and Albert is one of our finalists from micro pitch number 4. Albert, you ready?
I am.
That's all yours.
Thank you. As truisms go, it's right up there with death and taxes. We're all getting older, every one of us. Unfortunately, with getting older comes the realization we cannot do everything for ourselves forever. In fact, 70% of Americans will need some form of long-term care in their lifetimes. This care will take many forms, healthcare being the most obvious, but the home will need cleaning and maintenance, and there's, of course, personal care and activities of daily living, bathing, eating, toileting. Solutions exist for all these forms of care, even if family members are not able to help, because they are easily defined, they fit neatly into a company's service offering, and solutions are easily understood. If you have a new pain, you call the doctor. If you need help getting dressed, the home health aide can come by every morning. Need the laundry done? The maid comes Friday.
However, we cannot see your slides. If you need to share screen, there you go.
But what about the more one-off needs that don't fit in these boxes, or a company's business model, or a 9-to-5 schedule made weeks in advance? What if the elder needed someone to pull something out of their storage unit, to set up an iPad to video chat with the grandkids, or just check in on them to make sure they're okay and getting the care they need? Even if the care facility can't pick up the phone, as on this heartbreaking example, I did not have to look very hard to find. My name is Albert Brooks, and my company, Care Concierge, fills these gaps in services, in scheduling, and in oversight. We are not a healthcare provider. We are not traditional caregivers. We are not housekeepers. So what do we do? Practically anything else that requires a trusted, capable person to be on site with your elder for a short period of time. Depending on the services desired, a care concierge can visit the elder periodically and in person, complete a brief non-medical evaluation of the elder's well-being and their surroundings, contact family members with any concerns and answer any questions they may have. They can act as a liaison between family and service providers to confirm expectations and completion, or just run errands, even with just a few hours' notice. Though we are confident our flexible services can be used in a wide range of situations, we are targeting the 23% of families whose elders are living on their own or in care facilities and are more than an hour away from family members. We will focus on communities with higher concentrations of assisted living facilities and an older demographic. We will be service provider agnostic to reassure elders and family members that we work for them and not the retirement community, the doctor, or the other service providers. The service will be offered on a subscription basis with a premium on-demand option offered for non-subscription holders. Recurring credit card payments will be required to reduce collection expenses and maintain predictable cash flow. Our standard subscription will cost $149 per month and provide 2 30-minute visits per month. Additional timed visits will be charged at $90 per hour with a 1-hour minimum. For non-subscribers, we will charge $200 per visit for up to an hour. Each additional hour will cost $90. At these price points, each full-time employee will generate in excess of $18,000 in revenue per month. We feel the market will value and demand the service for several reasons. The service does not currently exist in any of the markets surveyed. The services closest operating in the space, the home health and personal care vendors, all require 3-hour minimum shifts and some even more substantial monthly commitments. Our price point is comparable to other care providers, but with the flexibility and independence the others cannot offer. 70% of Americans will require assisted living in their lifetime. The Population will only grow for the foreseeable future. The US will need nearly 1 million new senior living units by 2040. The number of people over 65 will grow by 42%. And the number of people over 85 will grow by 111% and triple by 2050. Customers will be acquired primarily through social media, advertising, and other channels identified as Crimdale completes its consultation. Customers will sign up and manage their accounts at our web portal. There they can request specific visit times or establish parameters for spontaneous visits. They can also request special services and report areas of concern to be added to the wellness report, which is a key part of our service.
Okay, and that's time for us, Albert.
Okay.
Okay, ready for some questions? Please unshare your screen. Unshare your screen so we can see everybody. And then just remember that the judges are going to ask all their questions first, and then you can start answering them after they finished asking. So we're going to start this time with Rachel.
Thank you, Albert. I have a couple of questions, and I don't really know which is the most important one. So Jeff, I'm counting on you to ask my other question.
Albert.
I
got you.
All right, fantastic. So Albert, how much does it cost you to make $1? All right, in other words, how much does it cost you to actually make money? Okay, and if you can get it down to cents to the dollar, that'd be fantastic. If not, just give a general idea of how much it costs.
Okay, Jeff, here's your big chance.
Okay, so for me and Rachel, how do you maintain quality and consistency of care?
Okay, Marty.
I'll riff on that one just a little bit. I think we all get this, right? Everybody's got this experience. This market is one of the worst in terms of the labor crunch. I mean, they simply can't find people to do this stuff. How do you expect to find enough people to scale this thing?
That's perfect.
Steve? Steve, you're on mute.
Thank you very much. Albert, have you discussed this with assisted living homes, and have they seemed to be receptive or resistant to this? I mean, is there any fear on their part that your team's going to come in and they're going to receive complaints from the folks that they're helping out, that the care they're getting there isn't effective enough, and that's going to cause some issues? Or have you looked into that?
Okay. And finally, Evans.
I'm interested in sort of who, are you displacing someone? Is this a displacement sale, or is this a whole new offering? Like, just sort of, are you trying to bump out someone who's already in the home and offering the service, or are you trying to provide it when it isn't there and trying to convince people they need it?
Okay. Okay, Albert, you got 2 minutes, and Tim will just set the clock for 2 and let you know when you're done.
All righty, thank you. In no particular order, regarding Evan's question about are we displacing any existing service provider, I don't feel we are. We're bringing a new service to the marketplace, and essentially we're going to be who watches the watcher kind of vendor, and provide an additional level of accountability for other folks or other service providers that are being hired. Essentially, it's an insurance policy on whatever care you're currently paying other people to provide. Regarding the feedback from the assisted living facilities, Steve, that's a good question, and it is one that I'm not 100% sure about. It's something I certainly considered, and my initial hope is to make them partners in this, not only for sales growth, but just to avoid an adversarial relationship, because frankly, it will make things easier. However, we have done enough due diligence on the access component that should it turn adversarial, we will still have access to the patients in the home and provide the oversight that they really, really need, apparently, if their facility is concerned about this sort of service. Regarding the labor crunch that Marty asked about, you're absolutely right. That is why this service is a non-medical one. We will be conducting wellness checks, but they are going to be of a non-medical nature, just like looking for red flags. We're not conducting any kind of clinical diagnosis or anything like that. We're just hey, do you have groceries in the cupboard? Did you answer the door? Are you able to carry on a conversation? That sort of thing. And Jeff, your question about I can't even read my notes here.
Quality and consistency of care.
Thank you. We're going to use the a web portal as a communication vehicle, not only between ourselves and the customer, but ownership, that is me, and any folks working in the field as concierges. Any concierges going out in the field will use the web portal to know where to go.
And that's time. Thanks, Albert.
Thank you.
Okay, judges, written your stuff down? You need a second? We're good?
Thank you, everybody.
Dennis, you're going to be up next. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, you can go ahead and share your screen if you want. I'll just wait for a verb. I'll wait for an audible from Rachel if she's ready.
Yes.
Are you good? Okay. All right. So our next pitcher is Dennis Woodbury with Easy Verify. Dennis was one of our finalists in micro pitch number 2. Dennis, the show is yours.
Good evening. In January 2015, a Georgia news station reported an elderly couple was robbed and killed after trying to buy a dream car from a Craigslist ad. I couldn't sleep. This was tragic, a devastating problem that could happen to anyone. Online criminals freely operate because there's no convenient verification process for individuals to use. We need a trusted and affordable tool that can verify strangers before a meetup is scheduled. I'm Dennis Woodbury, founder of Easy Verify LLC. Easy Verify is a local startup for you to know who you're meeting every time. Users can instantly verify who they're dealing with to reduce risk when shopping, dating, or hiring from classified sites. Our target market has millions of consumers that leverage online platforms to buy, sell, and engage with each other. Plus, there are peer-to-peer services, realtors, small businesses, freelancers, and anyone who socially or professionally meets strangers for their livelihood. We use two-factor authentication with a one-time phone code sent to your email or mobile device to initiate verification. Most importantly, with our API, we instantly leverage over 6 billion device IDs and existing consumer records via the global resources of the TransUnion company. For less than a cup of Joe at Starbucks, users will find value in our services. Our SaaS business model provides 3 user plan options. The digital identity industry is estimated to grow from 23 to 49.5 billion by 2026. Market growth is due to increased identity frauds, data breaches, and new government regulations. As we seek validation, on June the 9th, 2019, we conducted a 120-person online survey with the following results. 51% had negative online marketplace experiences. 78.5% was concerned about being ripped off by an online stranger. 77.75% would use more online marketplaces if they knew with whom they were dealing, while 80.37% would use Easy Verify to feel more secure about online marketplaces and other sites. Our solid business model has a team of freelance developers managed by our in-house IT consultant. Our marketing director has a host of social media advertising, digital support technicians, and we plan to form a complementary board of directors to help chart our future growth. Following our November the 15th official promotion launch. Timing is essential in all endeavors, and we are grateful for the support and exposure of the Start Peninsula program. In closing, I'd like to share my screen with you and a jingle sung by my wife, my granddaughter, and grandson. Can you see my screen?
We cannot.
No, we cannot.
Can
There
you
you
see
go.
Yeah,
it?
we can.
Okay. All right, let's do this. Come on, play.
Before you buy, before you sell, you got some time and leave it down. Don't worry. Easy verify. Before you schedule to meet a stranger and maybe put yourself in danger, don't worry. Use Easy Verify.
In minutes, online buyers and sellers or users of dating sites can use Easy Verify to verify the identity of anyone they plan to meet. No worry, no risk. Use Easy Verify. Visit us at www.easyverify.com. That's spelled EZVERIFI. Join today. Free registration.
Well timed. That's it.
Okay.
But timing, perfect.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. All right, you ready for some questions?
I'm ready.
Okay, and we're going to be starting off this time with Jeff.
Hey, Dennis, good presentation. Good to see you again. I think I've seen you in one of these pitches before.
Right.
Hey, so first of all, the problem is clear, and you've articulated that very, very well. I'm trying to figure out how you protect. Do you have IP that protects this, or those access to all that data that you're using in your technology is available to anyone, I think. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, and next, Marty.
Yeah, so Dennis and I met at a coffee shop, and I didn't bother to check him out. I just sort of assumed he would show up and be an okay guy. I was going to ask the IP question. I won't. The real question, I guess, is you've got 6 million in your database already. Where did they come from, and how do you know they're all still valid?
Okay, Steve.
This may be a follow-up to Marty's question, but I'll ask it anyway. You mentioned TransUnion during your pitch. Can you describe a little bit more about what your relationship is with TransUnion and how that's going to work out for Easy Verify?
And Evans.
I'm curious about liability. What if you say somebody is safe and they're Jack the Ripper?
And finally, Rachel.
All right, and thank you, Dennis, for the pitch. I'm really interested to understand basically what your markup is of this TransUnion service. So I want to know exactly how much money you're going to make.
Okay, Dennis, so you have 2 minutes. Tim's going to give you 2 minutes when you start talking, answering the questions. It's all yours.
Okay. Jeff and Marty, I think in terms of the IP situation, I actually have a meeting tomorrow, a conference call tomorrow, I think with Steve or someone that I should know. We're definitely concerned about, we've put a system together of a numerous amount of APIs. So we have OCR technology, we have TransUnion, we have a couple other techniques that we're using to integrate this process, the one-time passcode. So we have certain things that we've kind of uniquely combined together to give that protection affordable protection to our users. In reference to the TransUnion relationship, again, we pay them on a fee basis based on how many verifications we run through their services. And it's basically fee-based for them, which we pass on to our consumer, to our customer. Liability-wise, again, we can't assure you the mindset of the person that you're going to meet, but we're giving you the validation that they are who they say they are. Now, we can't tell you if they're a killer or not, but we can tell you that their information checks out, which is really more than what our citizens have access to today. When you look at the return on our investment or the amount of return we can make. Hello, is that it? I'm sorry, did you stop me? Okay. The return on the investment is it's about a 200-300% return on our investment. So it's not we'll be in a good situation financially once we get out the blocks.
That's time.
Okay. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll give the judges just a few seconds here to write down some notes. And our next pitcher is going to be Josh Ruffalo. Josh, you ready? Josh was one of our finalists from micro pitch number 1. So please welcome Josh Ruffalo with Pocket Properties app.
All right. Thank you so much. $36 trillion. That is the current US real estate market. In fact, real estate is the 3rd largest industry in the world. It's also the 3rd fastest growing industry, following only healthcare and higher education. Meet John. John is 31 years old. He has always wanted to start his real estate portfolio. He's very eager to get into this incredibly lucrative and proven market. The problem is much like John, very few people can actually participate in and take advantage of the growth and potential that real estate has to offer. Under the current landscape, the average millennial real estate investor's net worth is $1.4 million. And to put it simply, you need to be in the 10% in terms of wealth in order to participate in real estate. Until now. My name is Josh Ruffalo. I am the CEO and co-founder of Pocket Properties. We are a mobile-focused platform that allows our users to buy, sell, and trade fractional shares of real estate for less than $10. Pocket Properties will democratize real estate investing just like Robinhood democratized stock trading. Now John realized his dream of starting a real estate portfolio. He simply downloads the Pocket Properties app, sets up his profile, and in minutes, he's able to search through the available properties. And once John sees a property that he's interested in, he uploads his funds and is able to invest within seconds. John is just one of over 90 million people in our target market. Investors like John have been buying and trading fractional shares of their favorite stocks on various trading platforms since early 2015. The introduction and acceptance of fractional shares has already changed the investing world as we know it, and fractional shares of real estate is just the next step. In 6 months, we have launched a successful marketing campaign for our company, and during this time, we have added more than 2,500 members to our launch waitlist, and that number is growing rapidly every month at a steady rate of 35%. Pocket Properties will generate revenue primarily through the tokenization of real estate assets sold on our platform, but also through on-platform private lending and rental revenue. In fact, we already have 4 properties committed to our equity platform and several developers interested in seeking funding through our private lending platform. Each of our competitors is only focused in one specific area of the real estate industry, offering extremely limited services. At Pocket Properties, we will be the first platform to offer a complete array of real estate options. We believe that in order to provide a complete fractional real estate experience, we have to start on the debt side. And that is why Pocket Properties will offer both debt investing through tokenized private lending, equity investing, and social investing. And this is where users will not only be able to invest in projects, but in individuals as well. Our team is what will make Pocket Properties a household name. We possess extensive backgrounds in real estate and technology. I myself have been involved in real estate for the past 6 years, while also starting and founding multiple businesses, while simultaneously conducting a successful exit from a tech startup. Our CTO, Craig Paris, is a self-educated coder who's worked on product development and AI teams for both Microsoft and Salesforce. We also understand the wisdom that comes with experience, and this is why we've established a seasoned group of advisors that are going to lead us along the way. With your help, Pocket Properties will become the most innovative and effective platform for fractional real estate investors. Then our customers and supporters can join the growing class of millionaires. Moving forward, we expect our phase 1 launch to be on January 31st. We are also preparing ourselves to participate in our first major accelerator program. As well as to date, Pocket Properties has already started its pre-seed raise, and we have just under $100,000. This is to ensure that we have the proper regulatory and product development foundations. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer all of your questions.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Unshare your screen. There you go. We're going to start off this time. Be sure you remember to just wait until all the judges have asked questions before you answer. And so we're going to start with Marty this time.
All right, so I'm not sure to give you credit or debit for having Tim Ryan and my friend John Paris as advisors. Just saying that. I'm going to ask the IP question. Is there IP associated with this? What's the barrier to other people doing this?
And Steve?
You know, next time, Marty, I've got to come before you because you always take my IP question. So I'll have to go a different route. Talk a little bit about exactly how you're charging for this and which different parties you're charging through the revenue, through this life cycle stream.
Okay, Evans?
Can you talk a little bit about the regulatory hurdles that you need to surmount in order to get this thing up and running?
And Rachel?
All right, thank you, Josh. And also, what backs this? What happens when the bubble bursts?
And finally, Jeff.
How are you going to grow the amount of assets that you have that are backing it? I think you listed 4. I want to talk about how you're going to grow that, Josh.
Okay, Josh, you got 2 minutes. Tim will let you know when your time is up.
Awesome. Thank you all. Great questions. So first off, I want to address Marty's question. So the barrier for others is really nothing. So this is a huge market. And we're looking at it as not to be a winner in the market, but our place is to focus on using cutting edge technology like smart contracts to automate processes and keep us ahead of any competition coming into the market or already in it. In addition, we're going to offer asset to asset trading, which is going to be huge. We'll be the first platform which will allow users to use things like cryptocurrencies backed by real world assets. So that's going to be a big one. Charging in the revenue cycle. So upfront, most of our revenue is going to come from the phase 1 side, which is going to be on the we will make a percentage off the loan origination costs that we offer to the user. After that, what we have is that the cost will be around $2 per user, and we expect to generate $11 per user in phase 1 and up to $160 in phase 4 when we get to that point in the US, which brings me to the next question, which is the regulatory hurdles. So that's where we came up with the 4-phase launch. And the first phase is actually going to be Reg S, which is international portal. And that is just much less as far as the barriers and costs. So that's why we're starting there, so that we can generate revenue, which will then lead us into the next regulatory processes. And then to answer the other question about assets. So upfront in phase 1, great question. And that's why we're starting on the debt side. So the properties come from people we call the borrowers. And so these are individuals who bring properties to the platform and then allow users to invest alongside them on the debt side of that transaction. Over time, when we get to, once we get to phase 3, we will now take the place of the borrowers and purchase the properties in-house.
And that's time. Thanks, Josh. Okay, just a few seconds here for judges to wrap up their comments. Our next pitcher is going to be Marwan. Are you ready? If you want to share your screen now, we can get started. If you want to share your screen, just wait for a second for judges to finish up. Okay, Marty's cool. Rachel, you good? Evan's good. Jeff. Okay, cool. All right, so please welcome our next pitcher, Marwan Sadak. He was with Green Light, and he was one of our finalists from micro pitch number 1. Go ahead, Marwan.
All right, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Green Light Auto Auction, the fastest way to sell your car from the comfort of your home. The used car market status quo right now is a private seller trading their car at the franchise dealership. The franchise dealer buys the car for the lease the seller is willing to accept, and the franchise dealer then go and sell the car to independent dealers at an auction with no warranty, just as is. The problem with this model is, number one, the private owner are not getting the fair price for their car. Plus, they have limited outlets to go sell their cars to. As far as the dealers, they're not getting any car history when they're buying it at the auction, and they're buying the cars as is. What that does is the cost of the cars that the independent dealers is selling consists of the trade-in price, the planned repairs for the cars, and unplanned repairs that you didn't see when you buying the car, plus the wholesale profit and auction fees. By bypassing the middleman, providing 360-degree inspection and multi-bidder, what you have is we're going to give more money to the trade-in price and the planned repair. So people who selling their car, they're getting more money back in their pockets. The benefits is connecting dealers with the customers that they're willing to pay the most for their cars. 15-minute transactions, condition reports, and the confidence that every issue has been disclosed to the seller or to the buyer. And this is how it's gonna work at Green Light. As a seller, you're gonna go and scan the barcode on your car, and everything will get uploaded. So it's easy to upload. And we send you an inspector who's gonna provide 360 inspection. All issues are gonna be disclosed. And once he's done, auction starts. The dealers will get notified for every car posted. Once the auction is over, the highest bidder will receive the car, and the seller will get the check for the value of the car. The validation was done in my dealership, where we talked to plenty of dealers and private owners, and the feedback from the dealers is going to save them time to inspect tens of cars every week at auctions, plus this new source of inventory before triage by the franchise dealers. From private owners' perspective, they're too busy to deal with private buyers and showing them their cars. And when they go to franchise dealerships, they receive lowball offers, plus time consuming to be going from one dealer to the other to get the best price. Our business model consists of marketplace model, sales fee, plus we're gonna charge a transport fee. We're gonna have advertisement as well as extended warranties once you buy the car. Our go-to-market plan is gonna be social media, ads, and the listing bot is gonna forward owners from other marketplaces to Green Light platform, plus trade shows for dealers and billboards in some key areas. The market size, we're gonna launch, by the way, in December 1st. So we're really excited about that. And we're gonna start locally in the Hampton Roads until we reach 50 sales a week. After that, we're gonna go to the rest of Virginia. After that, the rest of the East Coast. And then we're gonna go national. The goal is to learn small, and then we can grow. Our average fee per transaction will be $300. Just to give you an example, America Auto Auction, which is local auction, charges about $650 fee, and they do about 550 cars a week. Our competitive advantage is convenience, fast sales, peace of mind, and we give market value for the cars back to the sellers. As you can see here, from low price from low to high, and as far as convenience from bottom to the top, we are going to be the most convenience, because everything is done from the convenience of your home. And plus, we're going to give you fair price for your car. We're not going to give you as much as if you list it by yourself as AutoTrader or Facebook marketplace, but at the same time, you don't have to be going to strangers showing your car. Our team consists of myself, the CEO, Priyanka Patel, our CTO, and Anatoly, COO. We're all ODU grads. We worked as software engineers at Swiss local company, but we took different routes. Myself I'm an entrepreneur right now. I own my dealership. Priyank worked for a Fortune 500 company, and Anatoly worked for a local startup, SVT Robotics. And we're hoping that we can take this company to the next level.
Okay, and that's time. Thanks, Marwan.
Thank you.
Could you unshare your screen and we'll get some judges with tons of questions for you. So remember, just wait until they've asked all the questions. And we're going to be starting this time with Steve.
Thank you. Very good presentation. So in terms of your profitability, can you break that $300 fee down for us? And I'm kind of curious how much of that is the inspection cost that you've got to send an inspector out to look at that car. That sounds off the top of my head a little expensive, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Evans?
This is definitely, in any marketplace, there's a user acquisition aspect to this that's really important. It looks a little bit like it's kind of high touch. So I'm curious how you scale this across markets. Are you going to franchise it? How do you grow outside of a hyper local market?
Okay, Rachel.
Thank you, Maron, for the pitch. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what Steve asked. And I want you to say very specifically who will do the inspections and what have they told you about doing the inspections?
Jeff?
I didn't see Carvana and a lot of the new folks on your competitive matrix chart. I saw traditional, but not really Carvana because they're doing a lot of these things. So competitive positioning was one. And like everybody else, the labor to do the inspections is really where my focus is.
And Marty.
Yeah, I glad out of the same thing. It seems that inspector situation is a bottleneck. And I also would be interested to see how you relate to a company we all know, Car Lots, which is a local company or a Richmond company. So the competition seems a little more expansive than maybe you've expressed.
Okay, Marwan, you have 2 minutes. Tim will let us know when your time is up.
Thank you very much. As far as the profit, when we said the $300, basically, that's average just for the sales fee. Basically, once you're done, that's the sales fee, and part of it is gonna go to the inspection. The goal is to do the inspection within 30 minutes, and we're gonna take an Uber. Basically, an Uber way of hiring these inspectors are basically gonna go do an inspection and you get $50. Right now, you have mechanics that don't want to be under the cars working all day, and they're getting paid $20 an hour. So that's the plan, is try to get those local mechanics that don't want to work under cars anymore and just go from one car to the other and then inspect them and have their day full of inspections and getting $50 per inspection. As far as the user acquisition and how to grow. So right now, we're going to try to learn locally and try to get better at what we do. And then we're going to go from one area to the other. We're going to try to focus that we have our billboard and ads in front of CarMaxes, because that's where most people go and to trade in their cars. Again, the second question is Carvana. So Carvana, yes, they're taking on cars, but most of the time is because they're trying to buy cars from you. So yeah, they're gonna give you a decent price for your car, but they're winning on the front end from the car you're buying from them. But other than that, there is no other competitors, because most of the dealers you go and trade in their cars to, they bring them to the local auctions. If not, they have their own auctions. As far as car lots, that's not for. Basically, you take your car, you leave it there until they sell it. So it's not the same way. Your car might be there for 3 months and you're not even seeing the money.
And that's time, Marwan. Thank you so much. Okay, we're ready to move on to we'll give the judges just a second. And we'll be ready to move on to our next pitcher, Rick Kensky. That's going to be you. Are you ready, Rick? Just give me a thumbs up. Rick
I'm
is
working on it.
okay.
Here we go. Here we
There you
go.
go.
I think
Okay,
I'm getting.
let me just
You
wait
gotta-
for a thumbs up from the judges. So just hang on a second, Rick.
You bet.
Marty's good, and Rachel, you good? Jeff, you're good.
Yep.
And Evans and Steve, you guys are good.
All good.
Okay, here we go. Please welcome our next pitcher, Rick Kensky with True Rep, and he is one of the finalists from micro pitch number 4. It's all yours, Rick.
Thank you. The answer is simple. The reason government is not working for the people is because the ultra wealthy are buying our representatives. $14 billion was spent in 2020 alone. And here I was helping candidates for free. Well, it's about time I start making money running campaigns, but not just anyone's. My team will be assisting only those who honestly want to represent their districts. We're working on a plan to provide new candidates with all the things they'll need to run a successful campaign, from training them in public speaking and fundraising to designing their campaign materials and building their web presence. I'm Richard Kensky, and please don't worry, no political speeches. I'm just excited today to share with you my startup business, True Rep. In order to fully understand its potential, however, I will be describing the political pains that created this opportunity. Number one, money in politics. A Princeton study has verified it's hijacking the representation of we the people. For almost 5 years, I've worked as a volunteer for national and local organizations trying to fix this problem. In 2018, I personally founded Make Voters Matter. Its mission to help elect those candidates who pledged that representing constituents would be their top priority and that they would work toward enacting anti-corruption legislation. This year, we got 38 candidates just here in Virginia to sign that pledge. The second pain, our two-party system, and please don't get me wrong, this has nothing to do with ideology. All that money has transformed our parties into political machines with the grip of a duopoly. The campaigns of Tara and Jolisha illustrate this reality. Both excellent candidates, but new to politics. As Tara told me, there was no one to help or even talk to unless I joined the party. And everyone said it's impossible to win as an independent. With no assistance available for non-party candidates, they saw running as a party franchise their only viable option. Sadly, both learned what matters most in primaries by losing to opponents who were more party loyal. To think, as independents that would have automatically been on the November ballot. Hearing both of them tell me that they would have gladly run as independents with my help is what inspired me to start True Rep. Surprisingly, the last pain is professional campaign staffing. They may all seem gung-ho about their candidates winning, but paychecks are funded by campaign donations. Running against money in politics may increase the odds of winning, but staff see it as a threat to fundraising. Besides, they get paid even if the candidate loses. This is where the True Rep team comes to the rescue. Currently, all campaigns are based on the candidate's personal platform. On the other hand, when a candidate is running to be an honest spokesperson and the messaging is true representation and anti-corruption, campaigning anywhere in the country is the same. You only need to switch out the candidate's name and photo. This allows us to use the economy of scale for everything from training to content creation, even providing the lowest prices for supplies such as campaign signs. Speaking of money, True Rep will be run on a subscription model. The cost of hiring a good campaign manager alone runs from $5,000 to $7,000 a month. Our setup fee of $3,000 will get candidates initial training and will make sure they'll qualify to be on the ballot. They'll get a professionally built website, design of campaign materials, a Make Voters Matter endorsement video, and our True Rep branding. for less money than candidates are already spending, we can give them full access to a dream team of experts. Our market is those candidates running for Congress and state legislations. Next year, over 18,000 potential clients will be vying for these positions, with up to 50% of voters now claiming no party affiliation. Isn't it about time they had a choice of either one of the party loyalists or a true rep?
There, Gary?
Okay, is that it, Rick?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, I didn't know if we were out of time yet or not, but okay. So we're going to start with judges' questions, and just be prepared to write those down, and we get all 5 of them, and then you can answer them after they finished asking them. And we're going to start with Evans this time.
So I'm just curious how big your market can be. So if I'm looking at, as an investor, I need to make 10 times my money. Can you talk to me about how big the market would be at the high end?
Okay, Rachel.
All right, thank you, Rick, for the pitch. Help me understand, are you a substitute for a campaign manager? Are you a supplement for a campaign manager? And what is going to make these candidates subscribe?
Okay, Jeff.
I'm just blown away, and I thought about how you could scale it to other things beyond picking candidates. I think the model can be applied to other applications, and have you given that any thought?
And Marty?
Yeah, I'll riff on Rachel's question a little bit. I've known a lot of folks who swore they would never run for office and then did, and I can name names. You mentioned your dream team. Tell me more about the dream team that you can bring to this that has a lot of domain expertise in this topic, and why that's something that you can really bring to these nascent candidates.
And Steve.
So if indeed the candidates believe that you've got to sign up to one of the 2 parties in order to get the help that you need to run a successful campaign, how will TrueRep break the ice in years 1, 2, and 3 to get folks to sign up and sort of, adopt your thinking enough to try the system out? It would be interesting to see what kind of market penetration you're anticipating.
Okay, Rick. So you got 2 minutes, and we'll let you know when your 2 minutes are up.
All right, I guess I should start out with the fact that this dream team that we asked about, every candidate has to have some sort of organization. They're going to hire maybe a campaign manager, a field director, a digital director. Unfortunately, for most of, unless you have a huge budget, the big money guys, you're really on a tight budget, and about all they can afford is a campaign manager. They get a young guy to do some digital work and that sort of thing. So they're always skimping. The hardest part you have to understand is the professional campaign managers, they hate me. When the campaigning starts early in the season, I get all these candidates talking to me. They're, it's kind of like that guy that gets into med school because he really wants to save lives, and then later he learns the reality and he's got a mortgage and kids. They get the campaign manager and it's like, don't talk to him. You're not going to sign that piece of paper. We got to do fundraising because they believe if the guy who raises the most money wins the candidacy. That is not necessarily the case. And the fact is, because we can scale so easily, matter of fact, if I shouldn't share my screen, but I can show you some of the little videos. I use a lot of animation And I needed 2 videos for 2 candidates just last week. I can make them in 20 minutes. There's a lot of work that goes into producing one commercial. But once you have that commercial, it is as easy as switching out the names. But the thing is, how we're expanding is we're talking with interns. We're going to give them a little finder's fee. And I got 38 candidates. Actually, I got 37. And
okay. And we're at the end of our 2 minutes. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rick. Okay. Judges, give you just a second to finish up your notes there. And Levi, are you ready?
I am. Let me know when.
Okay, hang on. Just get a thumbs up from our judges. Rachel's good. Marty's good. Steve, you good? And Evans, you good? Jeff? Perfect. Okay, our final pitcher for tonight. Please welcome one of our finalists from micro pitch number 3, Levi Johnson with NerdFlex.
Let's go. Let's get it, guys. NerdFlex is back and we are here. Now, as you can see from my Pikachu onesie, I am a giant nerd. I love anime. I love comic books. I love Star Wars. These are all things that have been pretty influential in my life. And working at Comic-Cons, I've been working at them for about 7 years. I've been fortunate to see my creators, all the people that influenced my childhood. I've got to work next to these people. And I wanted to work in this industry, and I tried writing, drawing. I just couldn't find my niche. But I noticed people always came up to me. What's your diet like? It's a very sedentary job at Comic-Cons. So people are like, what are you doing to work out? What is your fitness routine? And it dawned on me, there is no health and fitness company at Comic-Cons at all. And it kind of goes into that stigma, you know, nerds don't work out. We're not into fitness. We're not into health. And it's just a really negative stigma because I'm also a personal trainer. I do bodybuilding. I was a command fitness leader in the military. Fitness is a huge part of my job. And I was like, oh my God, we can get in here. There's no health and fitness. Trainers don't come there. Nutrition stores don't come there. And it's a huge market of about the cosplay community is $47 billion industry. If you don't know what cosplay is, that's people who dress up in costumes like I did very poorly just now, and they have great costumes. They want to look like Captain America. So that's what NerdFlex does. We are trainers and nutritionists designed fitness for nerds by nerds. I want to help you look like Captain America. I want to help you look like Wonder Woman. And through that, we can use this platform. It's a great platform. We offer online training, we offer in-person training, and we offer pre-made workout programs that are called our hero programs. And they're based off like the heroes you want to look like. So what we do is we charge $45 for in-person sessions for anyone local. If you want online, you get 4 meetings in a month. It's $100 flat rate, and we will tweak your diet. We'll take you a custom workout program. We'll do what you need to, because a lot of these people coming to us are people new to working out. They're new to the gym. It can be intimidating going somewhere where the person you're talking to has nothing in common with you. You can't relate to them, and you're trying to do this thing you've never done. We break that barrier down. I can talk to you about Dragon Ball Z. I can talk to you about comic books. It's like an icebreaker that no other trainer really offers. And it makes them a really comfortable atmosphere. We get fast friends with them, and our clients are such an awesome community because we're using Twitter, we're using Discord, we're using Instagram. We've grown we opened in April with NerdFlex, and we've grown over 10,000 followers. Everyone's been super awesome. We have trained over 300 in-person sessions. We've got 50 active online clients now, and we've sold 175 pre-made workout programs. Like, our company is growing so fast, I'm actually having to hire new trainers, and we are sponsoring and getting ambassadors through Twitch streamers, video game players. These are all these people that have such a huge networking, and we're getting these people that want to work out. They really do. And we're just breaking that stereotype, breaking that stigma of what nerds can do. So we just did our first Comic-Con in Orlando. There's 180,000 people. We got accepted. This was NerdFlex's big chance. Does the idea work? And I cannot tell you all the reception we got. We had the original Red Power Ranger, Jason. He came up. He wants to partner with us to make a Power Ranger workout program. He has a fan following of 300,000 people. I've worked with the voice actors of Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta. He signed this. They are working about it. Everyone loves the idea, and nerds, I'm a nerd, and they just have never seen this before. So you can see their eyes light up when they walk by the booth. They want to know more. And at the end of the day, this is a people game. I have to be able to talk to the person. I have to be able to relate to the person. They can look down and see like, all right, you're offering a workout. What's that mean for me? But if I can look them in the eyes and recognize who they're dressed up as, start that conversation, it opens doors that no other trainer can get to. And my team so far, they're all like me. They're gamers, they're nerds, and we just have a really great community. And just the blowing up that we can do with NerdFlex. We are the only name in fitness at Comic-Cons. We are already being recognized. We are being invited back. We're doing Seattle, San Diego, and New York this coming year. These are all cons over 100,000 people. So we need backing, we need to grow, and we need merchandise. We have a brand that feels nostalgic, that feels relatable, and these people love it. I need to grow this brand, and I know I can do it. My goal is to be the #1 name in fitness at Comic-Cons. And with your help, I can get there. I'm ready to answer questions.
Okay, thanks. All right. Remember to just take note of the questions you're going to get asked, and then don't answer them until the 5th judge asks the final question. We're going to start with Rachel this time.
All right. Thank you, Levi. I would like you to give a little bit more information. Basically, what's your strategy to create a repeatable business model as opposed to or versus this being Levi the leader?
Okay, Jeff?
Scale, scale, scale. It seems though, man, you have an infection, you have one of those infectious kind of personalities, Levi, and a great last name. So you got to be great. But I mean, how do we duplicate you?
Okay, Marty.
Yeah, I'll ask the obvious question about barriers to entry. There's probably somebody else who's equally brilliant and energetic as Levi Johnson. When that person enters the market, how do you deal with that?
Okay, Steve.
So as a certified nerd myself, I can recognize that there are all kinds of different nerds. It's not just one category, one size fits all, right? So have you thought about, breaking that down a little bit and getting your trainers to sort of say, well, yeah, I'm this kind of nerd. I'm a World of Warcraft nerd. And I train, or I'm a cosplay nerd, because if you get the wrong 2 nerds in the room, they're not going to talk to each other either.
Okay, and finally, Evans.
Okay, Levi, made me laugh, and I totally needed that. So awesomeness there. I have a family of nerdy Comic-Con Avenger watchers. So I guess you're talking to my people here, but competition. I'm curious sort of how you cut through that, because boy, fitness apps and content are really cheap and a dime a dozen. So talk to me how you cut through that.
Okay, Levi, you have 2 minutes, and we'll let you know when your 2 minutes is up.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so to start with the first question, business model to grow. Right now, social media is the best aspect of that. I started this on my own in April and have grown over to 10,000 followers. Being active on social media, having the celebrities shout you out. I'm also working with the celebrities that are there. Before COVID hit, I actually got to do a workout session with William Shatner. He gave me a shout out, got a huge following from that. I need continuation of that. There's so many people that are into that. They have huge followings. Stephen Amell, he was the actor from Arrow. He's got a new show on Stars called Heels. Me and him, I got an email from him saying he would like to get a workout in just to promote, being an awesome guy. So the reach is coming from social media. I have the knowledge. The workouts are easy. All the trainers can do that, but I have a resource that a lot of them don't, and that is my nerd community. You really can't replicate me. I know that's one of the questions. How do we make more energetic people? But I do screen my trainers, because talking's part of the job. You have to be able to relate. You have to be able to feed off these people, because a lot of these people are backwards. They're not socially inept. So you have to make sure you don't come off as intimidating. And I make sure I have a diverse group of people people. So I specialize in anime, comic books. I have one girl who specializes in Discord and video games. And we have a new girl who's helping us come up with a Dungeons and Dragons theme map where you have to roll the dice to find out your workout. So we have a really good variety of different people, but nerds, they usually overlap. So you'll find something to specialize with them. The specialist person in the competition, I've been working cons for 7 years. There has been zero health and fitness people in there. When I went to Florida, we're told we're the only time we've ever seen this. They've never seen this. Celebrities, people that have been going for 20 years. Like, I'm new, I'm shiny, I'm nostalgic. They can see the Nerdflex logo with the lightning. It reminds them of Dragon Ball Z. They can relate to me. And then that makes it easy to talk to with them about, what do you want to work out? What are your health goals? How do you want to better yourself? And that opens doors that a lot of trainers I've not seen yet to get to. So I'm the first in the industry. I'm the first one growing, and I'm going to be the number one name.
That is time.
Okay, thanks, Levi.
Right.
You're welcome.
Judges, if you want to take just to finish up your sheets there, let me know when you've finished that. And we're going to take another 5-minute break. The judges are going to scoot off into their deliberation room. And then we'll come back in about 5 minutes, and we have our guest speaker who Tim will introduce. And so judges, are you all set to go? You have instructions from Gavin on how to do that. And we'll see you back here after you've made your decisions. And everybody else, why don't we come back at 7:53 and we'll get started with our guest speaker.
Craig, you still there?
I am here. How's my
Awesome.
mic?
Sound good.
Awesome.
Sound good.
Hey,
Sound
Tim,
good.
are you sending us to the breakout rooms, or we have to go there?
No, so you should have a Zoom link in chat.
Oh, in chat. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
one of the limitations about webinars is they don't allow you to have breakout rooms. So I don't know why they don't do that. But
I don't know why they don't do that either.
Yeah, that seems to make sense, right? So you say in the chat there is a link inside
Yeah.
the chat. Got it. Got it. I see it. See you guys.
Okay. Yeah, that's such a clunky feature of Zoom, but yeah, sound good.
So
Craig,
Steve
is there any-
found it. Did you find it, Jeff? There you go. He's gone.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll see everybody back here in about 4 minutes.
Awesome. And I have a poll to run at the start just to gauge interest in something. Should I put that up now?
You, if you want to, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. If people are just hanging out, for anybody that comes back, I'll put this up here in a second.
Yeah, that was the other clunky thing about Zoom is that, I wanted to do a viewer's choice poll, but they only limit it to 10 responses. And when you have 12 pitches,
Is that right?
A limiting factor.
There's a little poll right here. I'll also put it in the chat. Let's see here. I always like to think about where people's heads are at with startup success or failure. Tim, thanks so much for having me. This has been a really great, I haven't caught every single session, but some of the pitches were really great.
Yeah,
congrats on everybody getting here.
It's been a really solid year for us, and it's some really solid companies.
Very cool. Yeah, Michelle, if you check out my screen share, you should be able to QR code this poll and take it, or go to slido.com Really just curious. So we've got 7 votes so far. 57% of us, 63% of us have been with a startup that failed. I'm very curious where this number is going to be.
Yeah, right.
What's your guess, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what percentage wise, but honestly, I hope it skews higher to the yes.
We're going the other way.
I'm just a firm believer that you learn so much more by failing than
50-50. Thanks for everybody voting. Well, tonight's talk is we're gonna talk a little bit about failure. We're gonna talk about success though too. So thanks again for having me.
And so everyone gets a little behind the scenes look before we jump live. So people in the audience, if you have questions, then you can put those in the chat. And then the people that pitched that are panelists, you have the opportunity to ask Craig questions once we get into the Q&A portion.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for your time. Thanks for sticking around. It's going to be fun.
Okay, and we're back at 7:53, Tim. So
man, time
Craig's
goes
ready. We can start.
Time goes fast.
Yep.
Well, awesome. We'll kick this off because I don't want to belabor getting started. I want to hear what Craig has to say. And we are so fortunate to have Craig Zingerlein with us as our keynote speaker tonight. Craig's a 6-time founder who built Growth University to help founders and startups become amazing at growth. After interviewing hundreds of founders and working with dozens of high growth startups, he took his lessons and built out a set of curriculum that help startups grow more holistically. And prior to funding Growth University, Craig was in growth and product leadership at roles at Sandbox, Upside Travel, Red Tricycle, Votion, New Signature, and eDialogue, and more. He's an award-winning product strategist, public speaker, and 2-time Launch Accelerator founder. In his spare time, Craig likes to hang out with his family, run, play drums, and build new growth curriculum. So without further ado, Craig, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And congratulations to everybody who had a chance to participate and pitch tonight. I know it takes a thick skin to do that. And so if you haven't had a chance to vote on this poll yet, I'm gonna sit here for about 15 more seconds, but I'm trying to get a read about what percentage of you have been with a startup that has failed. I'll go back to here. So it's about 60-40, right? So tonight we're going to actually talk about startup success, but I like to talk about startup success through the lens of failure. So give me another 10 seconds or so here to scan that QR code, and we'll revisit this at the end. Here's the reality. It is incredibly tough out there. Building a startup, scaling a startup, growing a startup, even getting something off the ground is a feat in and of itself. And sadly, the grim reality is that most of our startups are going to die. And Tim had read off a long list of startups that I've been involved in. Many of those have died, sometimes even after getting them to some level of scale. In fact, one of them just went out of business 2 weeks ago, Upside Business Travel. And so you never really know kind of what's going to happen. But some of the stats are very, very humbling. So most startups are going to die within 5 years. 90% of startups are going to die by year 10. But tonight I want to walk through some of the reasons why, and then we'll get into some of the ways that we can actually curtail some of that startup death and become the 10% that make it. So CB Insights has done a lot of work around understanding the reasons why startups fail. And here's some reasons right here. This is from a study that they did. I think they originally put it out there in 2014. They revised it in 2018. They're kind of constantly iterating on this, but take a look at these reasons. I think they had talked to about 300 or so startups. No market need, ran out of cash, not the right team, et cetera. Notice there's not a ton about the actual product in here. Let's look at some more. Paul Graham, this is a very famous essay. Paul Graham is the founder of Y Combinator. In 2006, wrote the blog post, 18 Mistakes That Kill Startups. And again, take a look at the theme that we see here. And there's not a ton about the product, a little bit more with the market. And finally, Startup Genome kind of studies startup success and failure at the global scale. And they publish a lot of data. What's interesting here is if you look at this, they break companies down between effectively successful companies and unsuccessful ones. And they call the successful companies consistent startups. Companies that make it spent 80% less than their peers who did not make it on customer acquisition. They were not perfectionists. So the companies that failed, they focused a lot on scalability early. They were building nice to have features. They were doing too little user testing. They wrote a lot more code, the ones that failed, and they grew their teams. 50% larger teams for those startups that actually failed. So super interesting. So tonight's theme is, how do you become among those 10% that make it, that survive? And hopefully in this audience, many, many more than that 10% will survive. The way that I think about this a lot, and I've been studying this for quite a while, is that most startups fail because they simply don't find customers fast enough, or they don't build enough value in for those customers that they do get for them to stick around long term. And that becomes a retention problem. Now, the good news is that much of this failure, when you look at kind of these three studies and then some kind of less scientific, my own studies on these, roughly 75% of this failure comes down to market or product market fit related themes. And the good news is that we actually have a lot more control here on this outcome than we may think we do, right? So we have a lot more control if we play our cards correctly. So let's dig in a little bit. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit of context of how I got here. So as Tim kind of pointed out, I've been a 6-time founder. I'm the current CEO and co-founder of Growth University. But I did have exec roles at a number of high growth startups, some that were heavily funded. So, $150 million in funding for one of these companies, a couple others were bootstrapped, and some in between. I went on a personal mission starting about 4 or 5 years ago to understand what separated those high growth startups from the ones that failed. And in the process, had interviewed over 200 founders about this topic. And along the way, I've had some pretty good wins. I've been involved in a few exits. And I've also been involved in just complete and utter failures. I mean, the worst of the worst, running out of money, shutting businesses down, flailing, being stressed out 24/7, that whole thing, laying people off. And my experience as well has generally been around the same themes I'm about to show you. So I'm going to turn this around and make this much more positive. So I've put together 6 ways to survive and thrive as a startup and as a startup founder. And here's the 6 things that I'm going to dig into a little bit. I don't have a ton of slides tonight, so we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. We'll go into each one of these one by one. So the number one thing that I see, and I think a lot of this data that I showed earlier points to, is that one of the most critical things you can do, with some very, very small exceptions, is launch early, get feedback, and build iteratively. And ideally, you're building based on the demand from the customers that you have and from the leads that you're getting and the conversations that you're having with customers. So if you remember back to those stats from Startup Genome, don't overbuild, launch early. Do not overbuild. I can't drill that in hard enough, right? What you see on the right here is, this is a screenshot from my LinkedIn. I pulled this a couple of days ago. I was just curious, like, how many of my peers are building in stealth mode? And I did a search, and there were hundreds, literally hundreds of founders who are hiding their startup from the public. And I would say all but maybe 1 or 2 of them, when I dug in, really had a good reason to do that. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to get your idea out there. I mean, you all know this. You're already out there. You're already live. This even goes for features and ideas that you might want to experiment with. Get it out there, get feedback, test. And don't fall into this bucket on the right. Number 2, I work with a ton of startups that have maybe some early traction, then the challenge is that they lose focus. They lose track of what's working and what's not working. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that you really can't strategically grow something if you don't understand what you're trying to grow. And this isn't really about product features or anything. This is about actually understanding the metrics that matter for your business and trying to build a model that looks forward. So those of you that are trying to raise money, you've probably got some variation of this. But the way that I think about this is not just for forward-looking investor metrics, but use this data that you thought that you could get to as a reflection on where you're actually at. So when I work with my team, or if I work with early stage startups, we'll kind of look at the growth model. We'll say, okay, well, what did we set out? What are our goals? How are we going to get there? And this feeds the acquisition loop. So this gives you an understanding of, well, in month 4, I have to get 43 new subscribers. How am I going to go and actually do that? What channels do I need to be in? How do I find them? How do I convert them? What's the marketing spend I'm going to need? And then you can reflect back after month 3 is over and you can say, how did I do? So you constantly are checking that rearview mirror as well as looking forward. Okay, third step. Understanding how to acquire customers is part art and part science. And the way that we think a lot about this at Growth University is through the lens of intentionality. And what I mean by that is not every one of your companies is in a position where your audience is seeking a solution to a problem that they have, right? Many of us are in a situation where your users are actually not aware that they have a problem, and you have to go and point that problem out to them. Now, the reason why that intentionality is important is because when you think about the channels that you want to go to market in and where you're going to spend your time as a founder, where you're going to spend money, where you're going to finagle your team to go spend their time and money, a lot of that's going to come down to how your customers think about, or frankly, don't think about that problem solution. And when you think about the flow of users into your ecosystem, you can kind of look at it like this. If a user is aware that they've got a problem and they're seeking a solution, right? The channels that are going to work for you are going to be the high intent channels. Search engine marketing and search engine optimization is probably going to be a big part of your game. It just is, because you have to meet the users where they're looking for you. Now, if you're like the rest of us and you're unsure if your user knows that they're looking for a solution, or maybe they're not, it's your job to point out that they've got a problem, and you have to inject your brand and your product and your messaging in front of them. And the way you're going to probably do that is through paid social and influencer campaigns, and probably a big content strategy. We'll say that a content strategy you could draw a line around this entire ecosystem, and your content strategy will likely drive how you approach channel marketing and things like that. But these are the ways that one can think about customer acquisition and simply start in these areas based on what you know about that intent. Okay, the next thing is, so you get great at finding customers. Well, how do you convert them? And the concept that I want to introduce here is what I call EPAG, or endpoint acquisition goal metric. I think is really critical for startups. You look at the ones that do really well, look at the products that you use every day. They have a lot of intentionality and a strong point of view on what they want you to do. You're the user, but they have a strong point of view on how to move you through that loop. And what the EPAG is it's the handoff between the marketing side of your operation and the product side. Now, often you have that blended together, and I would encourage marketing and product teams to work very, very, very closely together. But it's the transition point. So in the case of Growth University, what we're always going for is an email address, because if we can get an email address, then we can put you into a nurture and drip campaign and we can close this loop. The second thing is that as a startup, you have to think about, okay, well, you've acquired a customer, you've gotten them past that handoff point, gotten them to do something. What is the next step in that user journey? And what's the final step in the user journey? And that final step is usually some kind of revenue metric. So for us, it's like getting a member to sign up for our community, and that's where we monetize. But we are relentlessly focused on driving the user around this loop. And for those of you here, you may have 2 steps, you might have 3 steps, you might have 1 step, but you need to point to that end goal. And you have to be serious about pushing and propelling that user through by adding value along the way. And then you can look back on it and say, okay, well, I have 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, 4 steps. How am I doing week over week? And so this is a simple example of a growth dashboard that we'll use to reflect on what's happening in the business. So what's shown in yellow are the things that we're trending up and that we're feeling good about. And what's in red is not great. And what you start to do is you start to plot your trends just in regular old English at the bottom in the notes section. This is super manual, by the way. This is no fancy tools. You don't need a ton of custom reporting. I literally run this report myself every Monday morning. And then once a month, report it back to investors. But this is what we talk about in our team meeting. What's trending? What did we do? What's working? What's not working? So it forces you to own those metrics. Okay, the next section, retention. It's really important that you understand once you start getting customers or users, how to keep them around. And for this, you look at your core retention metrics, which is probably, did the user stick around over a certain amount of time? And what I call proxy metrics. And proxy metrics are really, really key, and they're not often talked about. Netflix knows that if they can get a user to consume 19 hours of content per month, that user will not churn. Okay, so Netflix's model is entirely based on getting somebody to consume 19 hours of content a month. Their UX and UI, their billions of dollars of investment in new content production, that all is geared towards getting you, the consumer, to spend 19 hours. Because if you spend 19, you don't go away. And so that is what I mean by a proxy metric. It's not a straight up retention metric. It's a product action metric that signals where retention is going to be at some point in time. Because remember, retention takes 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years to measure. In our case for GrowthU, we now know, and it took a while to figure this out, but we now know if we can get a student or a member to engage with us more than 2 times a month, they don't go away. I mean, once in a while they do, but most of the time they'll stick around. So we built our entire curriculum, all the stuff that we do, the events, the live sessions, all that stuff around that 2 touch points per month. And then a little bit, later, you'll start to be able to plot some of these retention metrics on a chart that looks something like this. And you can say, okay, well, am I getting better over time? Where month 1 is 1 month into that cohort. So you had people sign up in February. Month 1 is March. Month 2 is April, May, June. You read it left to right. Am I getting better over time? Is that getting stronger? And the final section is around experimentation. So personally, I think the superpower that a startup has, and that early stage founders in particular often share, is an experimental mindset. And when I think about product strategy, I think about looking at an experiment stream of work where you're out there, you're testing stuff and you're getting feedback, and then your core product roadmap. So this even creeps into product management. But most importantly, it's all about having a flexible mindset in rapidly increasing the speed by which you're learning, so you can apply those learnings, ideally from real customers, back into your model, and you close the loop. And so those are the 6 ways that I've come up with. Just a little bit about GrowthU. I mean, we help startups grow via on-demand programs. We've got weekly live mentoring sessions, community of founders. We do some one-on-one support as well. And we have programs that kind of cover off on a lot of these topics that I talked about today. We've got 9 programs as well. And then we're all about kind of saving founders time. So that's my quick pitch. And if you are interested in what we're doing, we've got a promo code here. So we got a 20% off. Ping me with questions, but I'd love to open it up for questions or get feedback. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Craig. I want to kick things off with a question first. Since I'm running the show, that'll be my privilege to ask the first question. So one of the awesome things is that the top 3 winners will each get a seat at Growth University. What can those 3 winners expect once they enroll within the program?
Yeah, I mean, once they enroll in the program, they can get as much out of it as they want to put into it. So you get full access to all of the different 9 programs that we have. You have access to a weekly live mentor session. So myself and a couple of our growth leads within GrowthU hop on a call once a week for an hour. And we thought we were just going to be answering questions during those sessions, but it's actually a lot of peer-to-peer engagement. And there's actually deal flow happening there. It's been a really supportive community. You get access to all of the new content that we're putting out there. We run live cohorts. So, I give snippets of some of the stuff that we cover in our programs today, but I mean, we go really, really, really deep into each of these topics. We've got programs on podcasting and cold emailing and channel marketing and all that great stuff. And then a supportive community of peers. So those are some of the things that they'll get.
Awesome. Anyone in the audience, feel free to throw something in the chat or in the Q&A. Any of the pitchers or panelists, feel free to pop in with a question.
I think I'll go quickly. Is about retention. When you were talking about retention, the reason I'm going to ask you this question because that's something that I always think about, especially for what I do, which is selling a car. Nobody sells a car every day. So do you have any other metrics that you can go by? Because the closest thing that I can think of is probably Airbnb, where you're not going and getting Airbnb every day. It's something that you do probably 3 times or something a year,
Yeah, I mean, so here's some stats. This is actually pulled from one of my programs. Then some of the normal benchmarks on different industry types. When you're a very, very infrequent purchase, when it's a very, very infrequent purchase flow, generally what we're seeing is content strategy kind of being used in between those major decision points, and staying top of mind, I think is one of the keys there. But in terms of looking at retention for a very infrequent model, it's a really hard metric to wrap your head around because it may not actually be all that applicable. Think about like Zillow. You may buy one house in your whole life. So what is their retention metric? Now you could argue that maybe the core retention metric is number of purchases over some amount of time, but those proxy metrics still kick in. And so somebody like Zillow is saying, okay, well, we're going to monetize in other ways. It's not just about making a sale. How often is the user coming back to my site? How often are we engaging with them? How often are they saving? Are they kind of in dreamland and they're like looking at places on the beach and saving it, right? I mean, I know I put my favorites on a ton of places. So I think a lot of those infrequent type of models look at some of those earlier metrics like that. Hopefully that answered the question. I'm not sure.
I sure does. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
And in the chat, Craig, we have, how do you respond to a major investor who thinks that you are going in the wrong direction?
Well, I think as a founder, you need to have conviction. And I think as a founder, you also need to be honest and realistic about what's going right and what's going wrong. And I've found that, if you communicate effectively with your investors and you're having a bumpy time, then they're going to give you transparent feedback and they're going to be somewhat forgiving. I think it's the investor view, I think, is one of many views that you should consider when you're thinking about your business. But oftentimes the loudest stakeholders are the ones that kind of get what they want. This is especially true with product management, actually. So like, if you've ever worked at a startup, or I've been a head of product a number of times, the customers that yell the loudest, the board member who asks for the thing, or the CEO that says, I really wanted that thing yesterday, you're going to go and focus on those things first. So just like how you would diffuse that situation and try to use some of the data, I think you need to do that with investors too. And I would just have a candid conversation with them. And obviously it's a case by case basis, but I think if you start with transparency and you've got conviction and maybe some data on what you're going to do to kind of alleviate whatever that concern is, then I would share that.
And next one in the chat is, Craig, can you go over some of the key elements of a successful podcast as a piece of content marketing?
Yeah. So content marketing, I posted something, I think it was LinkedIn or Twitter yesterday. A lot of people think about content marketing as like writing a bunch of content or recording podcasts or doing, it's as much about distribution as anything else, right? So the first rule of content marketing or content strategy is that recording it or writing it or document it is not enough. It should be like 10% of that and 90% distribution, sharing it, repeating it, getting it out there. Podcasting is an incredibly powerful way to build long tail support for whatever you're building. What's interesting is I'm about to start it up again, but I had a podcast for a while and I still am getting downloads on the thing, even though I haven't launched a new episode in like 9 months. And some of those people that I talked to that become members had originally heard me on that podcast. And so I think the successful elements of a podcast are one, that you've got a point of view and they're doing interesting things. It doesn't have to be controversial, but have a point of view. There's 1 million podcasts out there, or about 1 million, I think. So stand out, have a point of view, and be consistent with it. And if you do that over time and you work on the distribution, right? Share that podcast episode, cut it up, put it out there 100 times over the next year. Literally put it up in small chunks 100 times over the next year, and it will start to compound. And from that perspective, think about being in somebody's ears. You're in their head. It's one-on-one. It's almost like you're having a one-way conversation with them. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Incredibly powerful. I love podcasts.
Awesome. Next one is, how long was your retention metric as it pertains to your model and 2 visits a month?
So, I mean, I can share the growth retention model. I mean, our core metric is a revenue metric. It's number of active subscribers, and our proxy metric is engagement against. It's basically engagement against the percentage of users that are in that cohort. And so that's the starting point, but you really won't have a retention metric until some interval that shows some level of churn, right? If you look at it just in a 1 month interval, it's not long enough. So generally we'll look at retention at least from a year perspective, but I mean, we haven't even had metrics for a year for Growth U yet. I mean, we're coming up on a year. So I look at 3 month, 6 month, now 9 month windows for retention. And then I kind of look at it, what's my 3 month retention? What's my 6 month? What's my 9 month? And then what's the longest span of retention we have? And in some of the early indicators though are false positives. Like we have 100% retention from our first cohort because they were the earliest adopters. Literally none of them have gone away. But that's never the case longer term. You're always going to have some churn.
And as a follow-up to that, do you expect to lose clients as they become successful businesses?
In our case, we don't, because the programs that we offer actually focus on companies by stage, and the programs that we build can intersect each company at whatever stage of growth they're in. Now, it doesn't mean that every single program is going to be right for every single, one of those, one of those startups. But we have pre-revenue, pre-launch companies, and we've got Series B and Series C companies all in the same ecosystem. And what's kind of fun about that too is that there's always a company that's a little bit ahead of you, or there's a peer ahead of you, and you can kind of leverage that to learn.
What is the best advice that you can give on or about product management?
Experiment as much as you can. Don't overbuild. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? Like this is probably controversial, but when I started doing web development stuff back 20 years ago, 21 years ago, 22 years, it's been a long time. You just built a website. You had to like hack it together. You had to learn programming. Okay, well, what's happened over the last 15 to 20 years? You've got UX designers. You've got product managers. By the way, I made most of my living off of being a product manager. You've got UI engineers. You've got researchers. You've got content producers. All of these roles have spun up, and all of these roles now have different points of view. But each and every one of those roles that you hire at a startup, they need to be busy. They want to be busy. Humans want to be fulfilled by doing the work. And so the slippery slope there is that we have a bias towards action, and the action is often in the form of building more and more and more stuff, which may or may not resonate with the actual user. So the best product management advice I can give is closely couple marketing with engineering, like close that loop, and try to run that iterative process of getting customer feedback and experimenting and building features based on that, as well as there's going to be some core stuff that you also have to build. But if you can flip the balance from like, I need to build everything to like, here are the things in order that I'm going to build based on what the client needs are, probably as it relates to potential revenue, start there.
Awesome. Let me go through chat. If any panelists have anything, feel free to jump in.
I have a question, Tim.
Yeah.
So Craig, what's a question that hasn't been asked that you usually get? Or that you wish somebody would ask, and you leave the session and that you go, I can't believe nobody asked me that question.
It's actually, I almost always, this is probably the first session I've been on that I haven't got a question on what channel should I use to scale my business on. And 100% of the time I say, well, it totally depends, which is a really like, on one hand, it's kind of a cop out. It's like, I'm not going to go there. But on the other hand, that like, if you think about kind of that acquisition flow that I showed earlier, that is a question that just comes up over and over and over again. And then what's fun is then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into the channel strategies. So like, okay, well, the customer doesn't know that they've got a problem. So you have to use paid social, for example. Well, how do you build a good paid social campaign? Let's talk about that. How much creative should I run? How many messages should I test? What should my ad budget be? These are all questions that I get over and over and over and over again. That I was surprised I didn't get some of those tonight, but it also, I think the state that a lot of your startups are in are beyond some of the earliest stages, and they're exploring that on their own.
Yeah.
Well,
Gary, did you have a follow up to that?
No, I was just thanking Craig for.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
For taking the bait.
Yeah, I'm curious, going back to Andrew's question about how do you respond to a major investor that thinks you're going into a wrong direction. One of the big things that we talk about, with is always mentorship and surrounding yourself with smart people, building that strong team. I mean, what is your advice, when you're working with someone that has a really, really strong personality? I mean, I would imagine if I was in your shoes working with Jason, that would be something that would be really, like, man, how do I, it's got to be intimidating.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, when it comes to like such a big personality like that, you're going to give and take a little bit, because somebody like that has so much experience that they're inherently going to have a feel for how to run a business simply by brute force. Like they just have seen it and done it so many times, and they've been exposed to so many things. And so in that case, when there's the credibility there, I 100% value it. And frankly, that guidance will probably jump the list, as opposed to, maybe just some other random person that has an idea on how I should grow my business. I would say the other thing that is really critical for, call it your first 10 employees, in my view, is a strong sense of entrepreneurship. And what that means is that there's probably going to be some strong personalities in the room, but entrepreneurs that have they've got flexibility in how they approach problems. Because if you go back to failure, right? Like we truly don't really know what we're doing. None of us really do, right? If we're being honest, what we're trying to do is increase the velocity of learning so that we don't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And what I found is that some of the biggest personalities that I've met with or I've worked with, I won't mention names, but one of the companies that I was involved with that was not successful, the founder was a world-class founder that had incredibly strong conviction on the product that we were building. But the blind side or the blind spot was that we built to the detriment of what the customer actually needed. And so sometimes it goes awry and it doesn't work out, right? and again, I think that's where luck and timing and all those other things come in.
Awesome. Let's see. Looks like. Just checking to see. It looks like we have judges returning back. Any last minute questions while the judges return?
Any channel marketing questions? Nobody's going for it. How to run Facebook ads, Google.
I mean, it is interesting. There is so much that's going on about, with all the new Apple iOS privacy that goes on. And I mean, that's just a lot of the reports that I see from founders is, they really had to step back and refigure out what their marketing strategy was because, yeah. Do you want to touch on that?
It got flipped on its head. So for those of you that don't know, Apple made some changes on the device that said, if you're running ads and you're running ads within other native apps, we're going to now ask you if we can have your consent to track you. And what that really means is that 96% of Americans at least have said no to that, which means now Facebook doesn't really have much data on you. And so if you're a marketer and you saw your performance marketing just completely tank around June, which almost everybody's did, including ours, you're scratching your head going, what the hell is going on? Well, that's what it is. Google just announced that they're going to do something similar. And Apple just with iOS 15 said, you know what, you can't actually track anymore if people open emails on the native apps. And so what this means is that the importance of gathering that first party data, kind of what's happening in that endpoint acquisition goal metric that I talk about, like capturing some amount of personal data is critical. And you're going to need to use that more effectively. And you're going to need to add more value because the approach of just like putting interesting creative out there and then thinking you're just going to remarket the audience, it's just not really working anymore. Right. And so that's what's happening. And it really threw the industry for a loop. And I think the good news is that what it's going to do is it's going to make the industry get a little bit more honest and transparent. I don't buy that Apple is wholly and is doing this only for good. Like their app store sales went up like 300% or something in the last 2 months. So like they're definitely siphoning a lot of that revenue that Facebook was getting. But the device security and stuff, it's going to make content marketing more important, and your organic and your holistic growth strategy, that's going to be much, much more important. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Awesome. I think that we're just waiting for one more judge to come back. And I was fortunate enough to have you on our weekly Fervent 4 show.
That's fun.
And one of the biggest takeaways that I had, and it still has an impact on me today, that you shared that totally made me think about something in a different way, was for all you people that are building your email list. And if you're worried about the unsubscribes and that your numbers are going down, Craig was like, you should go through your list anyway, and anyone that doesn't open up your emails, they need to be purged anyway. So they're almost, if they're not interested in what you're offering, it's not a bad thing at all that they've purged themselves. Do you want to share anything on that, Craig?
I mean, yeah, like I've been learning this because I'm handling sales for the company now, and I'm not naturally a salesperson. And what I've found in both the email marketing side as well as the sales side now is that disqualifying potential users or not potential users is way more important than qualifying even. So like, yes, we talk a lot about qualification, and there's tons of stuff about how do you qualify a lead? How do you do all this stuff? But like the opposite of that is how do you disqualify somebody, and how do you, doesn't mean like being rude and getting off the phone early or whatever, but like, how do you just make sure that you're spending your time on the audience that's engaged with you and that cares about what you're doing. And so, yeah, what we do is we go through it quarterly. So we'll prune our list. If you haven't opened an email in 6 months, once a quarter, we'll look at that, and we'll remove you, because we don't want the overhead of that. Also with like email deliverability and stuff like that, the better your open rates and the better your click-through rates, the better your deliverability is going to be too. So yeah, I mean, I think like just being honest about that is good. You know, not every lead is a viable lead, and not everything's going to work out, and not every email list is going to be engaged forever. Not every user is going to be engaged forever. So work hard to add value.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way can they?
I will drop my email in. Yeah, just Growth University IO or Craig at Growth University IO. I'm always happy to talk growth. So I do a lot of like free mentorship and stuff too. So reach out. Always happy to share my calendar.
Awesome. Well, you feel free to hang out, see who the winners are.
Well, can't wait.
And I'm going to turn it over to Gary. I'm just as excited to find out. But Craig, I can't thank you enough for you taking the time out to talk about growth.
So fun. Thank you so much.
Guess what I have? I have results. First off, I don't know if Tim, if you're going to do this or not before we say thanks to everybody, is to say thanks to the judges and folks before we I have feeling there will be great celebration and everyone will run away from their computers. So
yeah, I definitely, I mean, again, you know, to that point, Gary, we have to thank our host localities. You know, Newport News, they were the host city this year. Hampton, Poquoson, York County, James City County, the city of Williamsburg. I mean, we couldn't do this without you all. We couldn't do it without the judges. So as we go through the prize list in terms of what's up for grabs, the top three are each going to get $5,000 in some seed funding. And that comes from the localities that I just mentioned. So they're the ones that make it all possible. We just heard from Craig. So the top three will get a seat to Growth University, and that comes compliments of Patent Portfolio Builders with Steve. That's one of the judges. I mean, again, they stepped up. They stepped up in a really big way, and they knew that not everybody necessarily needed a patent or IP helps, but they wanted to make sure that they can help out the best they could. So thank you to Patent Portfolio Builders. Super grateful to Growth University as well for stepping up and being part of what we're doing at Star Peninsula. You'll also get 6 months of a community membership at the Launchpad. So thank you, Launchpad. Thank you, Rachel, for that. A 1-year membership to the Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, a 1-year membership of the Greater Williamsburg Business Alliance, 1-year membership to the York County Chamber of Commerce. Retail Alliance stepped up. You'll get a 1-year membership to the Retail Alliance. So another great perk. 20 hours of consulting from a partnership with the Hampton Roads Small Business Development Center and the Crimdell Business Network. So a lot up for stake for the top three. And for those, we tell everyone every year, the only losers are the ones that give up and quit. So there are no losers unless you fall into that category, but those that did not make it into the top three, you'll each walk away with $500 in some funding as well. I'm done, Gary. Let's go.
Okay. I don't, my computer's not working. I don't think I can announce them. Oh, okay. All right. Number one. Bonilla Pet Studio. Aaron and Oz Bonilla. Yay. Number two. E-Wedded with Maya Holohan. And number three. Pocket Properties app with Josh Ruffalo. Congratulations, everybody.
Yes, congratulations. If you all can stick around, we'd like to get a photo with everybody.
Oh, Evans is gone.
Oh, she's
Evans
there.
is still there, but her
Her
photo
face is
not.
gone. There she is.
Judges, is there any closing comments that you would like to make?
No, I wanna take the opportunity, probably as the elder statesman here, Tim. I think you probably had me around here. I'm like the old guy. But we from the judges' standpoint, we want to thank all of you. You were fantastic. And this is, and Dan, you know, we've been doing this a little while now, Dan. I can't find you on my Brady Bunch screen. There you are. And he sort of coined it. He said, hey, this is one of the best years that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And the pitches are getting better and better and better. And you and your businesses and your business models are better and better and better. So there are really no losers here, everybody. So yeah, we had a top three and we struggled with it inside deliberations as judges, but all of you are winners in our book. And we will reach out to you individually just to be able to follow up on you and track how you're doing and see where we might be able to add value. But Tim, man, you guys again have done a great job again for hosting this. Thank you to you and Dan. And where's our host? I can't find him over here. Where is he? He's gone.
He's in the matching shirt.
Oh, there he is. Gary, there you go. Okay, couldn't find you here. Thanks to you guys again for giving us the opportunity to participate with these great entrepreneurs. And I kick it back to you, Tim.
Yeah, I know. And judges, thank you. Participants, thank you. Special thank you to Gary and to Gavin. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in the background during all this, and it wouldn't be possible without the help of everyone. So this is it's been great. Year number 9 was awesome.
You're solving awesome problems. You're really passionate. And you've made a lot of progress, and you told us a lot about what you're working on. So congratulations. Laugh. It's exciting. And, you know, keep on trucking and come over and check out whatever resources are in the community and get connected and see if you can come to any of these events, meet with people like Craig, who are so generous to give of their time virtually. Is really awesome. So hats off to you. You know, this is the real work, and it takes a ton of passion to do what you're doing.
All right, I'm gonna go. Let's grab a quick picture. Everyone, get ready to smile. All right. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Well, congratulations, everybody. And thank you all, everyone, for your support. It's been a great year.
Yeah, great job.
Okay, small shout out, Tim. The next one is 11/11, 7up57 Accelerates community event at the Granby Theater. It's going to be in persona.
Yes.
So, the tickets are free. We'd love to see you.
Yep.
Be there or be square.
I just registered today, and we'll be
Thanks,
clearing
Tim.
that out on Start Wheel for sure.
Right.
Okay.
See you guys.
Wear one of your costumes, Levi.
Congrats, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, team. See you guys.